My mother-in-law crashed my wedding night. Even her own children can't tolerate her.
Everybody hates this mother-in-law.
Sorry, this is a little long, but I feel like some backstory is relevant to the situation. All names and locations have been changed. To start, my mother-in-law, Stacy, 50 female, is a self-absorbed person, and my now husband, Jake, 27 male, has always known this about her, but her self-absorbed person IC tendencies usually were only really bad towards the men she was dating. Since she sees her kids doing well as a reflection on things she has done right versus things that have been accomplished on their own. By the way, this comes from Jana Eve Taylor, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So the first few years that I, 25 female, dated her son, she was very welcoming and kind to me, even buying me gifts and wanting to make plans to spend time with me, even voicing her support for us to get married and have children. I am more of an introvert personality, so I never really committed to making plans with her, but it was nice to feel like she liked me. I do not have a good relationship with either of my parents, so I would always encourage Jake to respond to his mother because she genuinely cares about him and loves him in her own way. He didn't have a bad relationship with her per se, but he didn't particularly want to be around her because of her behavior and narcissism. Moving a few states over with me seemed to help their relationship because he didn't feel obligated to see her as often, and it was more on his terms for planned visits. Every year, Stacy and her boyfriend, Gary, 60 male, would travel to where we live and stay for 4 to 5 days. Jake and I don't look forward to this particularly, but the first few times it went well for the most part. There would be just moments where Gary, who is a very kind and funny man, would say something casual that would set her off for no reason, which would lead to a very uncomfortable rest of the day. One time we went to dinner and Gary ordered a burger and fries. Stacy also ordered a burger, but when the waitress asked if fries were okay, Stacy said she wanted chips. When her food came out and she saw Gary's fries and her chips, she realized she wanted the fries and asked him to trade. He politely said he didn't want chips, but could call over the waitress to order her a side of fries. She went off.
Oh, she'd be going out of the door because that's where I'd be putting her. I'd say, you're gone. Goodbye. I'm literally like, oh, you want fries? Oh, you didn't get fries? Now you want fries? I'll order you fries. And you're going to yell at me about that? Get out. Get out of here.
I didn't think that was an option. I thought if your girlfriend wanted your food, you had to switch.
I didn't know you could. Now you're learning that you don't have to do that.
Yeah. What? You can ask the waitress to come over and work out a deal?
In fact, I think ordering her another side is even a better move. That's how much I care about you. One side of fries.
Dang,
that's how much I care about you.
She started yelling at him in the middle of the restaurant about how rude and selfish he was and that he'll eat anything, so it shouldn't matter if they just trade. Gary can be confrontational back, but it usually takes a while to push him to the point where he wants to fight back. So he was trying to calmly explain to her that they could just order more fries to calm her down, which had the opposite effect. This went on for way too long than it needed to until we eventually paid and left. Every single time they came to visit, something like this would occur. Gary was incredibly nice to me and almost reminded me of a father figure that I wish I could have. So these encounters would break my heart. I started really dreading their visits and got more and more quiet around her because she's an introvert.
It's like the death spiral. Yeah. It just gets worse and worse.
Jake and I got engaged after 5 years of dating. We both decided to buy a house first and have a small backyard wedding since we don't know a large amount of people, and it felt it was more about the memories than the venue and money spent. That's super smart. Dakota might agree with that.
I agree.
A few months prior to our set wedding date, Stacy and Gary came for their annual visit. With the purchase of our house, the previous owners left this huge and fancy grill since they couldn't take it with them. Neither Jake nor I owned or used a grill. So Gary brought all of his personal things from home to clean the grill, filled the propane tank, and even cooked us a wonderful steak dinner. He was very kind and delicious. This is probably 3 p.m. on a sunny weekend day, and we were going to play some game in the backyard. Gary even cleaned up our plates and put the leftovers in the fridge. Well, Stacy decided she didn't want to wait on him anymore and went in the house where he was cleaning up and started screaming at him to hurry up because he was making us wait. Stacy, girl, do you even realize what you got here?
Why are you doing this?
What's up?
What's going on? Like, what is it? What's making you do this?
Yeah, dude, this guy cooks steak and cleans up after himself.
And he's the worst. What's going on?
All I said was, "It's really okay. We aren't in a hurry," in a playful tone to try and calm her down. She stopped yelling at him, came back outside, where a few minutes later, we started our game. A few hours after this, I was getting ready for bed and came down to get water, where I saw Stacy and my now husband, Jake, on our patio having a heated conversation. I didn't want to snoop, so I just went to bed. Come to find out, this conversation was, in my husband's words, her yearly therapy session, where she was ranting to him about how I spoke to her and trying to figure out why I didn't like her anymore. He told her that it wasn't like that. It was about how she treats Gary and that nobody likes how she treats him. Jake told me later that they just kept going in circles and his mother refused to see his perspective and was gaslighting him and playing the victim. My husband is great though and sees right through this every time, but eventually just gives up. Yeah, because after a while, what can you do?
After a while, it's like it's over. It's what this person's not going to change. You're just going to be in this perpetual cycle of being upset for no good reason.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't get over you ask specifically for the chips, then you realize you want the fries, but then you have to have my fries instead of just more fries. That's whack.
And then I cook steak, I clean it up, and while I'm cleaning up, being a responsible guest, you yell at me because it's taking too much time.
Trash. That's trash behavior.
I'm just trying to figure out if Gary is actually the bad guy. Like, in a world, like, what kind of world, what does Gary have to do in order to deserve this?
It's just like his facial expressions are so bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, she's like, can I have some of your fries? And he just goes. And she's like, you always do this. You always give me the evil eye and growl at me when I ask for your fries. That's probably not what's happening, though.
Yeah, no.
That's probably not what's happening.
Months later now, my mother-in-law and a bunch of our friends/families from out of state all come to stay at our house for our wedding weekend. We had the entire set of groomsmen staying in our basement, along with my father-in-law, Matt, 55 male, and my sister-in-law, Amy, 32 female, all in our house, so it was packed. Everything was going great, though, and everyone pitched in to help set up our backyard, make food, and plan for the big day. I was honestly surprised because my mother-in-law was mostly quiet and helpful. When assigned a task, she was great at focusing on that and getting it done, which I was grateful for. The actual day of the wedding was also good. The only part that, looking back now, was weird is she kept asking me why my mother wasn't going to be at the wedding. Not wanting to have that conversation on my wedding day, I kept saying that we can talk about it sometime over the next few days she's in town if she really wanted to know. Little did I know she would ask several of my family members that same question during the wedding, try and get the scoop on my relationship with my mother.
This person's terrible.
Since we had our wedding in our backyard in the fall, we decided to do the ceremony and cake/dancing first and booked a private room in a restaurant afterwards for the reception since it would be too cold for most people to want to stay outside that long. The ceremony was amazing. The backyard decorations really turned out exactly how we both wanted it, and it was really nice having everyone in the same place. Jake and I are truly in love and we're so happy to be married. We had a few drinks, some dancing, and then it was time to relocate to the venue. To get to the venue, my husband drove with his dad, mom, and sister all in the back seat since they flew in and didn't have transportation. Sister-in-law Amy was really great and supportive for the entire time. She's good at planning and was very helpful to getting things set up. Unfortunately for her though, she has not had a very good few years, having got married and divorced, and also her apartment burnt down and she lost all of her belongings right after she moved to the other side of the country.
Dude, that's rough.
During the reception, she got emotional and decided to step out of our room and got to sit at the bar since she didn't want to bring the mood down on our big day. Dude, Amy is a freaking angel. That is the amount of selfishness you need to have in order to do that. Like, you're like going through it and like you're just going to remove yourself. Like, not saying you should do that, but like that is huge part on Amy.
Yeah, just knowing that your situation's going to take away from their day. Even though it's like,
it's heavy.
Not your fault.
Yeah, and you got to deal with it.
People are just going to be like, oh my God, you hear about what happened? Or like the whole wedding. And then it's like, I'm not going to make that about me.
Who's in the chat for Amy? We didn't even notice and now appreciate her effort, even though we wouldn't have minded. Yeah, sounds right. My husband and I are still unclear on the particulars of what was said between them, but mother-in-law went out and confronted sister-in-law at the bar for stepping out and was scolding her to grow up and get over it. Wow.
Why don't you just get out of it? The venue that we're all in, to leave, go, be gone.
I feel like mother-in-law is about to have a similar experience, though.
Just get these people out.
Yeah. We were none the wiser of any issues until sister-in-law comes flying back into the room with angry tears streaking down her face, and mother-in-law hot on her trail, still yelling. Jay got in between them, and we ended up putting them on opposite sides of the room for the rest of the receptions, which worked temporarily. But remember, we all drove together. Sister-in-law was going to Uber, but it was raining and late, so Jake and I convinced her to just get in the car, and I would take her place in the back seat so she didn't have to sit next to Stacy. Car ride was only 11 minutes long, and we naively thought we could make it home.
11 minutes?
11 minutes! Can we do this, dude? You know what I'm putting on for the 11 minutes?
Just Future?
No. That's funny. Dude, Bohemian Rhapsody. 2 and 11. Well, I'm just playing that. I don't even care what's happening. I'm just blasting that stuff all the way.
I'm playing the remixed version of Dragonfly by Lenny Kravitz.
What are you playing, Keon? What are you playing in that 11 minutes to make sure that no one's talking in the car?
I would play Bonfire by Childish Gambino.
All right, Jake and father-in-law were casually chatting about Metallica for the first few minutes of the ride, just trying to say something to ease some of the tension in the car. It took about 3 or 4 minutes for mother-in-law not to be able to contain it anymore, and she interrupted the men and started screaming at her daughter. Sister-in-law then turned and was screaming back, having had enough at that point. All I did was hold back my hands out between them to get their attention and calmly just said, "Can we please wait until we get home? We're only 5 minutes away." Mother-in-law then turned her rage onto me and started screaming at me for saying stuff like I never liked her, and started all this mess and putting her finger in my face. I was a little wasted and feeling spicy at this point, so I started screaming back at her, and I honestly couldn't tell you what was said after that. I do vividly remember the Metallica playing in the background, which definitely
No way,
help.
dude. I was gonna joke that should be what was playing.
Master of Puppets, bro.
Or just
Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
Just like it just raging you up. That's probably why.
Impersonate me. All that I see. Absolute.
Jake, trying to drive through this chaos, took a look behind him and saw no other cars on the road and decided to take our car from 45 miles an hour to 0 in about 2 seconds flat, effectively silencing everyone in the car. My husband is the most calm and patient man I've ever met, but he's no pushover. I have never seen him as mad as he was in that moment when he turned around to his mother. He told her that if he heard another peep from her before we got home, that she would never see him again and that he was not playing around. She started to argue with him, but the look he gave her shut her up. We got home and everyone dispersed to their own rooms. My husband and I both got ready for bed and were committed to just hiding out for the rest of the night since we were exhausted. He was very apologetic for me for his mother's behavior, but I really felt bad for him having to deal with that on his wedding night, especially from someone who was supposed to make things easier. He went downstairs to get my cat and a glass of water, and we were just planning to sleep. After about 15 minutes, he had it come back, so I went to look for him. Our cat is indoor/outdoor, so I thought he might be outside looking for her and wanted to go help. I opened our bedroom door, and Jake and mother-in-law Stacy were at the top of our staircase having a tense conversation. Not wanting to get back in the middle of it, I closed our door almost all the way, wanting to listen to what's going on just in case he needed a rescue. Turns out that my sister-in-law and father-in-law were downstairs chatting about the night when Jake went down for water. On his way back up, mother-in-law was waiting on the stairs and ambushed him. She was eavesdropping on their conversation and couldn't believe they would talk bad about her like that.
Oh, you can't believe it, huh? You can't believe that? You don't believe that?
So, conflict number 1, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that was pretty crappy. Conflict number 2. Yeah, I'd be going down that whole list right there.
Dude, you literally told the woman who lost her whole life at the bar
To grow up.
to get over it and grow up. You suck. You're a horrible person. And the fact that anyone tolerates you for 5 seconds should be a blessing to you.
Dude, wait, Keon, when was this posted? Because I have a hot take that if this happened within the last 2 months, if this was posted the last 2 months, Amy's stuff probably would have been in the fires around here. Like, she probably moved to LA, moved across the country to LA after getting divorced.
Oh, that could be it. That would make sense.
Jake told her to just go to bed and they would talk the next day, but she wouldn't let him go. She kept asking to explain what she'd done wrong and was making it hard for him to pass her. Well, that is when I opened the door and swiftly closed it. I could barely hear their conversation until she yelled, "I know you're there, Missy!" and taunted me to come out of my bedroom.
You know what I would do, honestly, if she was taunting me to come out of my bedroom?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I would just open the door and I'd go, and then I'd close it again. Like, I would just start messing with her. Like,
I opened the door and leaned into the frame, trying to stay calm, but super over the entire situation at this point. Stacy then started to step to me in my own home, saying stuff like, "I don't know what I ever did to you," and essentially blaming everything on me. When Jake realized how physically close to me she was getting, he put himself between us and sternly told her to go to bed. She then said something along the lines of, "This is how I get treated for paying for everything? Girl, you just paid for the cheapest wedding ever, okay?"
I'm gonna find out exactly how much you paid. I'm gonna get that money and I'm gonna throw it at you. And it's gonna
pennies.
be all nickels and pennies, dimes and quarters.
That way, whenever you go to the bank and you have to put them in the slots, they're not all pennies, so you have to get different things. Which is not close to the truth, since all she paid for was the reception dinner, which we didn't even ask her to do, considering she grabbed the check out of my husband's hand and voluntarily paid for it. He again told her to go to bed, and after a few more minutes of peddling with her to stop, he had enough and took the cash she had on him, which was probably $50 or more, that she had paid for the food, and threw it down the hallway at her and told her to get the F out of our house.
Boom! Throw that money. Bang!
That's crazy.
Well, it's crazy when you volunteer to pay for something and then later just use it as a thing where it's like, well, I guess that's what I get for paying. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, what, so now you're going to act like that's something you can hold over me?
Yeah,
because you offered to do it.
We both at this point knew we weren't getting sleep anytime soon, so we joined father-in-law and sister-in-law downstairs. Every 20 minutes, Jake would go back up and check in on mother-in-law's progress of getting her stuff packed and finding a hotel. He was being very patient considering she was wasted, and it was about 3 o'clock at this point, but was not letting up on punting her out. Eventually, she booked a hotel and had her things together, which he carried downstairs for her, and even agreed to drive her there on the condition that she would not talk to him. He says that she tried, but he just sat there and acted like he was an Uber driver. Jake and sister-in-law weren't optimistic, but they were hoping that mother-in-law would come to her senses after sobering up and getting some rest. Well, what do we think here? Did that happen?
Look, I don't know. Kick her in the morning, man. If your mom's like drunk and it's 3 a.m., just like let her sleep.
She's
And
not,
then
though.
Take care of it in the morning.
She's not. He's telling her, go to bed, go to bed, go to bed. And she's just bickering with him.
Well, isn't he telling her to pack?
Well, because she wouldn't go to bed, because she kept like, he's like, you know what, get out of my house. He did it. He tried. He tried. That unfortunately isn't what happened. She doubled down the next day and sent my husband about 4 or 5 long texts about how this entire thing was my fault somehow, and that I'm an evil mother hater, and that I'm trying to break apart their mother/son relationship. Jake typed out a well-written response with his perspective on everything that happened as a last-ditch effort to get her to understand, and to also have a written account while things were fresh in his memory. But self-absorbed person can't take responsibility for anything, and she is convinced that she is the victim.
Look, and I don't know if I get misconstrued when I said like she's drunk, just let her go to sleep. It's like her being drunk doesn't excuse her behavior at all. It doesn't make it. Nothing what she's done is okay. It's just more like it's 3 a.m. She's drunk. Trying to get her to pack and get out of your house right now is going to be like infinitely more difficult.
Well, he did that.
Than just waiting to the next day.
That's what he did. Dakota, you're missing it. He tried to tell her to go to bed, and he's like, the only thing that she's gonna do is have to get out of my house.
I thought it went straight from he threw the money at her, and then he
he was
you're getting packed up and you're leaving
So they were
now.
at the top of the stairs. He's like, I don't want to have this conversation. Go to bed, please. I don't want to have this conversation. Go to bed, please. Doing it for like probably like 15 to 20 minutes, and then she was not listening. And then he was like, I'm done. You're gonna throw in my face that you're paying for something. Get out of my house. So back on it. So now she's still convinced that she's the victim. My husband has not seen or talked to her since that weekend. He said he's going to do nothing with her until she deeply apologizes to both of us and sister-in-law for what went down and takes accountability for it, which will likely never happen. She still blames me, even though I had the least involvement out of anyone. I know Jake is sad about the situation, even though he didn't particularly care to spend time with her before. Cutting ties with family is never easy, especially when it didn't have to be this way. And by the way, for you to have the only happiness in this life is if you go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime, and you will hear a plethora of stories just like these. How many days are we at, Dakota?
50.
And counting.
On the bride's side, we've been happily married for 2 years now and are expecting our first child, which she will likely never get the chance to meet. I read these things all the time where the man doesn't stick up for his wife, and I'm beyond grateful that my husband stuck up for me. Dude, facts. Hope this story is entertaining, LOL. It gives us a good laugh now, and we've healed and move on. Okay, we got 2 comments left. Comment number 1. Jake is an absolute jewel and has a very shiny spine. You are blessed to have him. A word of warning, though. I don't know if your nightmare of a mother-in-law knows about your pregnancy or not, but if she does find out, be prepared for all kinds of love bombing, because she's going to want to be a grandma. That's going to require a whole new set of boundaries if you decide to let her be a part of the baby's life at all. Best wishes for a safe pregnancy and a beautiful, healthy baby. OP replies, we honestly don't know if she knows. His sisters have said they didn't tell her, so unless one of his aunts or random family member that friended on Facebook did, she still doesn't know. We've talked about this a lot recently and have pretty much both agreed that even if someday my husband chooses to let her back in our lives, it won't be the same and she won't ever be allowed to stay overnight in our home or be alone with our children. He sees right through her and I'm not too worried about the love bombing. Thank you for the best wishes. We're due in about 2 months and are thrilled. My husband is going to be the best dad. Comment number 2. So you still talk to father-in-law? OP, yeah, they divorced when my husband was very young and he was completely on our side with everything. And that's it.
They divorced?
Husband, father-in-law and mother-in-law.
Well, great, because she sucked.
Yeah.
I'm sure dad's better off.
Yeah.
My best friend invited me to her wedding, but forgot to give me a seat.
What's the point even of inviting you then?
Could
Where
it
are
be a
you
power
supposed to
play?
sit?
Power play?
You're
Power
just
play?
gonna stand and look down on everyone?
I smell a power play. My childhood best friend, 23 female, got married this weekend, and I was so excited to be there to support her on her big day. I'm a chocolatier.
Sick.
So the bride asked me if I could create the wedding favors and dessert table. I was ecstatic to help with the wedding and went above and beyond to create a gorgeous table that was a huge hit on the day.
She better have paid you for that.
I hope so. By the way, this comes from user Intelligent Top 5377, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit and submit them there. So I was told early on the wedding was over budget and to keep my costs low. My boyfriend was not invited. I was extremely understanding and even reduced my rates for the suite table as my present to the couple.
Okay. Was getting paid, just less than
Yes,
normal.
discount. That counts as a gift.
Discount?
A couple weeks later, after reviewing the guest list, the bride informed me that my boyfriend could come as my +1. But if he did, I would be moved from the head table. My boyfriend is a wedding photographer and is looking to build his videography portfolio. Knowing that the couple didn't have a videographer, he offered to film a professional wedding video free of charge. The bride
You guys are like the wedding power couple. They should hire you both.
The bride was ecstatic and offered to move us to the vendor table so that we could network with the other vendors. We loved the idea, and it was confirmed that we would be sitting with the vendors. The day of the wedding, we arrived 4 hours early to help with the event. My boyfriend spent the time filming, while I set up the dessert table and helped the event coordinator set the dinner tables. After the ceremony, guests were moved to the cocktail room while the original room was converted into the room for the reception. While helping convert the room, I noticed that our names were not on the seating chart. I asked the event coordinator where we would be sitting, and she said, "Good question," and left to find out. She came back to say that there was no vendor table and that if we were staying for dinner, my boyfriend and I would have to sit in a separate room as we were not on the list.
Dude, I was actually okay. Maybe there is such a thing as a vendor table, but I was like, that sounds suspicious. Like,
Yeah?
I feel like I've never heard of a vendor table.
Maybe I just trust my friends when they say they're going to put me somewhere.
Well, no,
that
I
it
would trust them
exists.
too, but I was just thinking as we were reading the story,
I
I was
just
like,
don't-
what's
yeah.
a vendor table?
I
Is that
don't know.
wedding people? Is that something that's normally there, or was this a setup from the beginning?
Maybe if your vendors are your friends, you could have a friender table.
Vendor table.
Yeah. This room was closed off from the reception, so we wouldn't and couldn't hear or see anything, let alone talk to anybody. I told the event coordinator that we were in fact guests and that we should be moved into the reception room. The event coordinator herself was seated at one of the tables in the room. I told her I was a longtime friend of the bride and even originally was meant to be seated at the head table. However, the event coordinator said she couldn't do anything about it.
What do you mean you you can't do anything about it? Pull up a chair. I don't know.
Why? Come on.
Why can't you do anything about it? You're
And-
the event coordinator.
This, I see you now. I see you. The reason the event coordinator can't do anything is because she was explicitly told by the bride not to give OP or her fiance a table.
Yeah.
Or boyfriend. I'm not sure. Boyfriend, fiance. I approached the bride to explain the situation. She mentioned that it was definitely a mix-up and that we should be in the room. Okay, so there goes my conspiracy. The bride mentioned that she didn't want to undermine me as a businesswoman, so she never told the event coordinators that we were friends or that I was a guest. She left the coordination of the vendor table to the event coordinator and left it off the seating chart.
And the event coordinator freaking apparently.
Yeah, dude, what? You're bad at coordinating.
Yeah.
The event coordinator was not made aware that any of the vendors besides herself and the MC were staying for the reception and therefore didn't think to add us in. Although I understand the mix-up, the bride did nothing to get us moved into the main room. My boyfriend and I were cut off from the reception with no one to speak to, no way to see or hear, and even had to ask to be fed. What? Then
This is
wait,
ridiculous.
what's the vendor table? They just have to sit there in silence?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no food?
I
There's no
think
nothing?
It seems like all the other vendors weren't staying, I guess, but like still incredibly weird that the bride didn't even say like, okay, let's pull. I just don't understand why you can't pull up a chair.
Yeah, like come on.
Let's
Like
just pull up a chair.
let's do some improv right now, huh? Just a couple two chairs is all we need.
2 chairs.
2 more chairs. As a result, I missed the entire wedding and spent the majority of the evening crying in the bathroom waiting to move the dessert table into the main room after dinner so that we could leave. My boyfriend continued to film everything as he was committed to getting a beautiful video for his portfolio. The next morning, I emailed the bride about the experience. She apologized profusely and said she was scatterbrained on the day and didn't think to do anything about it. She feels extremely guilty and would still like to be friends. I would like to forgive her, but I'm still extremely hurt. We have some comments, and as do I. But Sophia, what are you thinking over here?
I mean, I kind of believe that she didn't do it intentionally. Like the bride didn't do it intentionally, but it's still something that you're gonna have to do. I mean, she should have fixed on the day or told the event coordinator, hey, like, I don't have time to deal with this. I need you to fix this and get them in here. Like, that's all you have to say. It's not necessarily that the bride that had to, find the chairs herself, but I feel like she could have said, like,
now,
get them in here.
Big question is, was the bride made aware that the event coordinator was not helping OP and her fiance? Because it sounds like OP was like, hey, what happened? And then the bride was like, oh my God, no, that's a mix-up. Just tell her that was a
Yeah.
And then they tried, and the event coordinator was just like, no, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah,
Did
does
any
the bride
more
know
interaction
that?
with the bride happen after that?
That is a good question.
Was
it's
she
like,
made
hey,
aware?
the event coordinator helps 0%.
Yeah. Or did
Can
you just kind
put
of
some bad ratings?
Did you just kind of accept it, and then I think any anger or frustration you're feeling towards the bride is misdirected.
Should be on the event coordinator.
It's on the event coordinator.
Because it does seem like she's really apologetic.
Right.
So
This
I'm
was
like,
not on purpose.
Honestly, it seems like the event coordinator just kind of stunk.
Yeah. Unless we find out secretly was on purpose.
Though I do think that regardless, the bride should be, doing stuff to earn that forgiveness.
But also the day of your wedding, you're pretty busy.
Yeah.
Comments. Number 1, why didn't the event coordinator fix it? It's her job. It's your job. She could have crammed you in or waited to see who didn't show up and sit you there. I'm not saying it's not the bride's fault. I'm sure if she had told the wedding coordinator that she had to find you a seat, she would have. Or she shouldn't have sat down herself. The coordinator is an employee, not a guest. OP replies, the coordinator was also a friend of the bride that I hadn't met. Ooh, so maybe the coordinator's doing a power play.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're just a vendor. You're just a vendor. You don't get to sit down with all of the guests.
Reply, so this is a pattern then. Was there anyone working at the wedding who wasn't doing it as a favor? OP says the photographer worked for the groom's mom, so I don't think so. Did the photographer have a proper seat, or were you two the only ones that were left out? OP replies, the photographer left before dinner, so we were the only ones left out. Comment 3, be honest with the bride and tell her how you feel, that she used your friendship to get a good deal, and once she had it, she discarded you. My question to you is, why not just leave instead of sit in another room? OP said, yep, that's what I said in my email to her. I had to add the refrigerated items to the dessert table and wheel it into the room at 9:30. I didn't want to damage my business reputation by just leaving. I left as soon as the desserts were put out. Reply, no, you didn't. Once you and boyfriend found out that you weren't even on the guest list, you should have left. I wouldn't do anything for someone who thought so little of me and my boyfriend's contributions that we were shut off in another room. Again, that's so extreme. This is like a whole wedding.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. It's like
this is clearly clear. I mean, again, I think I agree most with the first commenter of like not saying it's not at all the bride's fault. There is fault to be placed there, but like definitely the event coordinator is the issue here.
Yeah, and especially if the event coordinator is the bride's friend, it makes sense that she'd be like, oh, well, yeah, just tell her.
Yeah.
Tell her this was a mistake and that
Yeah.
you're a friend.
Yeah.
And she'll fix it. OP replies, in the moment, I didn't want to overreact and do something I might regret. I wasn't sure if I was being overly emotional or if the situation warranted me leaving. So I tried as hard as I could to compose myself, finish what I had planned to do, and analyze what had happened after the fact. I cried more the next day than when it was happening. Reply, I respect that you held it together enough to keep up your business reputation. That must have been incredibly difficult. I'd have wanted to storm out crying for sure. And there is an update.
Let's get into it.
I really, really want there to be clarification on the amount of communication.
Yeah, I need to know what was going through the coordinator's mind. Why did she do this?
Probably just like, I can't do that. No, it's not happening.
Yeah.
We can't do that. After reading everyone's responses and doing some reflecting, I've come to the conclusion that she's not my friend.
Whoa.
Our relationship in the past few months has mostly consisted of her blowing me off and me interpreting it as though she was busy. Well, she was about to get married.
Planning a wedding.
She was probably pretty busy.
She was probably, again, we don't know the content. It could have been different, but she was planning a wedding.
She was planning a wedding. 2
She
months
might
ago
have been
was 2 months
busy.
before her wedding. Probably
And
pretty
weddings they do tend to get pretty busy in the lead
Yeah.
up.
busy. Yeah.
But let's
Okay,
I'm
let's
gonna
keep
jump
going.
I'm not gonna jump.
I feel like the internet strangers might have got you here. She moved across the country 2 years ago, but flies here often. Most of the couple's friends and family still live here, which is why they decided to have their wedding here. Every time she's come to visit, we've tried to make plans, which would end with me being blown off. The excuse was always that some last-minute thing came up, which is why she didn't have time to see me. She called me months before her engagement party to let me know that I would be invited to it, but I was never actually invited.
Yeah, that's
All right.
actually,
It's getting sus.
yeah.
It's getting pretty sus now.
Yeah, you're getting you're feeling a little vindicated here.
I responded to pictures of it online, just saying gorgeous, and she explained that I wasn't invited because her mother-in-law planned it and didn't know her friends. Moral of the story, the only time I've seen her within the past year was to do a free tasting for her wedding after she mentioned that she would not finalize her order without a tasting. We had plans to meet up the same week of the tasting, which she, again, blew off.
She's not looking good. She's not looking good.
Yeah, this is looking bad. This is looking real bad.
Looking like a bit of a theme in this lady's life.
Yeah. I reread her apologetic email and interpreted it differently the second time. The email mainly followed the structure of excuse, but that's not an excuse. In one section, she wrote that although she would still like to be friends, she understands that I may not want to, and that's fine. To me, it seemed as though she was saying she wouldn't care if we were no longer friends. At the end of the email, she added, P.S. We would still like the video, despite making it a point prior to the wedding to let my boyfriend and I know that she couldn't care less about the wedding video.
Weird.
Okay, so I'm starting to now think that maybe you being at the vendor table was a tactical move.
It seems like she just doesn't really hold your friendship in the same, to the same degree that you hold it. It seems like it's a little bit more important for you, and like the long-standing nature of it was special to you, and she's just like, I don't know, this is like an old friend, and
Yeah.
I'm hiring her for a service.
Yeah, it seems like once you had service for the wedding to bring to the table is the only time that she's seen you.
Yeah.
Literally to do the tasting for
Yeah, and that was it. Every other
your
time she
services.
was like,
Yeah.
Reddit strangers may have been right about this.
Might have been right. I might have jumped to conclusions there. But this would have all been great information to have at the beginning of the story.
If we had started with this, smooth sailing.
Although she did mention it in her email that she would make it up to me, I haven't heard a word from her since I responded back to her email naively accepting the apology the day after the wedding. I watched my boyfriend's rough edit of the wedding video this week and listened to her speech. She added a section where she thanked her friends for transcending the lines of friends and family. She called out a long list of names from the friend group and mine wasn't included,
That's
which
crazy.
sealed the deal for me.
That's actually pretty crazy to not be like, and my friend OP who supplied this beautiful dessert, and come on. Especially because OP was gonna be at the head table.
Was she though?
Was she ever really?
Was
gonna
she
be
though,
at the
or was
head
there going to be
table?
some other excuses? Oh my God, my second cousin twice removed on my father's side
we have to push
came
you to
here, and she's
other
going to have to take
table.
your spot.
Sorry.
Especially since I was so involved in the preparation for the wedding that she wouldn't have just forgotten my name. Moving forward, I will be a lot more cautious with my circle, and I'll definitely be more strict with doing business with friends. No more paying out of pocket. And by the way, you don't have to pay out of pocket to listen to full episodes with stories like this. You can go to iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts and just search OK Storytime, and there you will find more than 1,200 hours worth of stories to listen to. So I challenge you to listen to them all. We have a little more story left. Do you have anything else to add? I mean...
No, it seems like you're making the right decision for yourself. It seems like she's been has a pattern of using you for, what she needs and not actually valuing you or your friendship.
Yeah, I agree with this conclusion. I regret kind of defending the bride earlier.
Yeah, well,
but with the information we had, it
information.
was very defendable.
Yeah, based on the information, it seemed like she was apologetic, but now it seems like she's just...
Yeah.
Her apologies are surface level,
Well,
very shallow.
I think so all the way back to my original theory where it was a tactical move to keep you in the other room. She
Yeah.
really didn't care. And she
really
probably
didn't care.
did talk to the event coordinator. She's like,
She's like,
she's gonna try. Or maybe the event coordinator was like, I mean, we could definitely seat them here. It would just like maybe throw off the vibe just
Yeah.
like just 1%.
She's like, no,
She's
the
like,
vibe.
no.
the
Oh my
vibe's
God,
so
1%
good.
vibe decrease? I can't do it.
do
Just
that.
put her in the hallway. Thank
She'll
you.
be fine. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She already made the desserts. What's she gonna do? Eat them all? Like,
That's so sad.
all right.
But there's a little bit left.
There's a little bit left. Let's finish it. So my boyfriend has agreed to not go out of his way to send her the video. If she asks for it, he will send a link to a shortened version on his website. I couldn't convince him to add a watermark, although that was my favorite solution. Thanks everyone for your recommendations. So we'll see if she comes around in a month or so. I will definitely not be reaching out. And that is the end of that story. My mother is making wedding planning difficult, so we eloped.
Get it over with. Just do it already.
I am Izzy. I'm 23 years old, and I'm currently planning to get married in early January in just a few weeks. My fiancé proposed a couple of months ago, and honestly, we weren't stressing too much about the wedding planning. By the way, this comes from user Independent Cat 4900. If you want to submit your own stories, go do it at the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, both of our families offered to help with the arrangements, and since we're starting fresh, new jobs, moving into a new place, it just felt natural to keep things small. We decided on a simple civil ceremony for now, and then maybe in a few years, once we've saved up, we can have the big traditional wedding. A little background about me, I'm an atheist, but for some reason I've always dreamed of a church wedding. It might sound strange, but it feels right for me. So we figured, why not wait until we can really afford the celebration that we both envision? Now, here's where things get complicated. My family can be difficult, to say the least. My mom and I don't have the best relationship, and while my dad and I get along well, he tends to side with her no matter what. When I explained to my mom that I wanted to keep the wedding small and save for something bigger in the future, she seemed to agree. Or so I thought. But without telling me, she went ahead and hired a wedding planner. Imagine my surprise. Then she sent us an insanely expensive budget. Sure, my family could easily afford half of it, but my fiance's family not so much. When I told her his family couldn't contribute that much, she dismissed it, saying it was their son's wedding and it was special. She kept saying, "You're the bride, you get the final say." But here's the thing. She wasn't giving me the final say. She was making plans behind my back, visiting venues, setting up meetings, and expecting me to just go along with it. Fast forward, we finally settled on a compromise. The main event would be a small family dinner with about 30 people at a steakhouse on Friday, January 3rd. But of course, my mom being my mom was not satisfied. She started planning a second event at a family-owned property, calling the steakhouse dinner ugly and too informal to invite her friends. To keep the peace, I agreed to have the signing ceremony on December 28th at her chosen venue, a more elegant setting for family and her friends. Even with this compromise, the fights didn't stop. Today was no exception. As a foreigner in this country, I need specific documents for the marriage to be legally recognized. I went to the courthouse to file them, but my copies were rejected. My fiance's dad, who has some connections, kindly offered to help. When I called my mom to let her know the most likely date would be Friday, January the 3rd, the date my fiance and I had originally planned, she lost it. Izzy, we agreed the main event would be on Saturday, January 4th, and the signing would be on Friday, January 3rd, she said, clearly upset. I panicked for a second, thinking I'd mixed up the dates, but I've been meticulous about keeping notes of everything she said to avoid these kinds of issues. In the ongoing tension with my mom about the wedding, the situation only got more complicated. On December 20th, today, she sent me a message saying the wedding ceremony should be Friday, January 3rd at 6 p.m., followed by a family dinner on Saturday. I reminded her that Valentino and I had already made reservations for the Friday dinner, and I explained again that the venue couldn't accommodate us on Saturday because of the number of guests. She had previously agreed that Friday was the best day, but as usual, she seemed to forget what we had discussed.
Oh boy. What a headache.
When I told her that the reservation was already set for January 3rd, she became upset and defensive, claiming that I wasn't making decisions and that she wasn't being considered. At one point, she said she had exams starting on the 3rd, but just a month earlier, she had confirmed she wouldn't have any that day. The conversation quickly escalated, and I tried to remind her that we had been clear about the dates for months, but it didn't seem to help. In the end, it felt like no matter what I said, it wasn't enough. My mom tried to take control of the situation, pushing for her own plans, and I was caught in the middle trying to balance her demands with what my fiancé and I had already planned. For real, like, a person where they're so flip-floppy and so manipulative, you have to keep a log of what they've said so you can
Yeah.
tell them what they've already agreed to is too exhausting.
So exhausting. It's like this person should not be anywhere near event planning at all if they can't even remember their own thoughts.
So, I got home really upset, and my mom called me asking me to leave my phone at home because she didn't want me recording the conversation, since she tends to do that with her professors at her university, so I left it. She started yelling at me, saying she wouldn't support me financially anymore, that no one considered her, and that she was paying part of everything. She said that if she wanted, she could talk to my dad and cancel everything. I asked her if she was manipulating me, and she said no. Still, I said, well, when Dad gets home, we'll talk and all come to an agreement. Then she calmed down and went quiet. She started calming down, but kept saying things like maybe she wouldn't attend my wedding, that my fiancé's family was manipulating me, and that no one would love me more than her because she and my dad are my real family. After all, we're foreigners. It was honestly horrible. So when I got to my room, I called my fiancé and asked him, can we change the date? He asked why. He said no, but that we could try. Then I asked, what if we cancel it? And he said yes and asked what I planned to do. I was honest with him. I told him I didn't want the party anymore, that I just wanted us to get married, go somewhere nice to eat, and play all night. I was tired of the stress of the wedding, and that once the money was ours, we could do something better. He happily accepted because he's very introverted, and I know he was doing the whole gathering thing more for me and to celebrate with his family. Still, he said he respected my decision. I told my dad, I asked when was the last time we talked about it, and he said about a month ago. Then I said, how strange. Mom told me you talked about it yesterday and that you agreed to change the date. And he got nervous saying, oh, maybe, but I don't remember.
You don't remember what happened yesterday? Yesterday? Really?
I told him to stop defending her and that I had already decided to cancel the event. I would be happier doing nothing, and once I had the money, I would know what I wanted to do. I know he'll tell her, and who knows what will happen tomorrow. I'm really scared, honestly, and there's an update here.
Oh boy. What a mess. And now the dad's messy too?
I didn't
Gosh.
expect so much feedback from yesterday's post, and I'm really grateful. I showed my fiancé the comments, and he was surprised by how many there were. Thank you all for caring. It makes me feel less alone. To clarify a few things, yes, I live with my parents, and yes, I want to get married before I live with my fiancé. Even though I'm an atheist, it's hard for me to let go of certain things that I was taught. My relationship with my mother has always been difficult. She's a manipulative evangelical, and while I'm not against religion, I don't agree with how she uses it. For example, when she found pictures I'd shared in a long-distance relationship years ago, she called me a sloot banned me from talking to my brother and dad, forbade me from touching my dog, and even removed the doors from my room and bathroom.
Don't touch the dog. You're gonna get all your dirty sloot germs on it.
I was grounded for 6 months with no phone, no TV, no contact with my family. That's insane. The only thing she gave me to do was read a Christian book. At the time, my brother was just a teenager, so I had to clean the house, cook, and do everything else while both of my parents worked. I'm not trying to focus on my dad right now, but he's always been somewhat okay with her decisions, so that's why I'm not going into detail about him. While this might not directly relate to the current situation, I want to share it as an example of the things my mom has done. It's also important because the wedding situation is bringing up memories of my 15th birthday. She decided everything about my quinceañera, my dress, the guest list, including my bullies at the time, and what I was supposed to do that day. I didn't even get to eat because I had to look perfect and greet every guest. OP, I hate your mom.
Yeah, this is, oh my gosh.
I have always felt that my mom views me as a reflection of the life she wished for, though I'm not entirely sure about that. Today wasn't any easier. I went to my fiance's house to get away from my parents and have some time to myself. However, my dad came into my room in the morning and suggested that we could try doing the event, even though I had already decided I wasn't going to do it. He proposed, let's do it at our place the day before and then do the main thing on the day we planned. I was exhausted, my face swollen from crying all night, so I told him that we could have discussed this yesterday and I could have talked about it with my fiance. But honestly, yesterday's situation was the last straw for me. A few hours later, my mom came into my room and suggested the same thing. She was acting oddly. She seemed almost shy and not like her usual self. I told her the same thing, adding that it would be better if we didn't have to worry about it anymore. She seemed mad but didn't want to argue. Instead, she started complaining about how I never tried to talk with her or share my opinions, and that if we communicated more, she'd understand me better and have a clearer idea of what I really want, which is BS, because all she would do would lord over your opinions and your thoughts and tell you that you should think this way or do this instead.
Exactly.
Later, my fiance picked me up and we went to his house. I showed him the post I made and he was really engaged with the comments, even sharing some of them with me. Seriously, thank you so much for the feedback. A few hours later, my mom called. I put her on speakerphone and it was a bit sad yet somewhat funny to me because she was apologizing. What a strange thing.
I was not expecting that.
She said, I'm so sorry about how I acted yesterday. I guess, which is not an apology. My fiance was like, what the heck? I know I didn't act okay, I think. Again, what are you doing? Then she said, I want you to be happy, and started trying to convince me again about doing the reunion. I denied her once again, but I don't know how to feel about it all. But by the way, I know exactly how to feel. I know exactly how you should feel about listening to full episodes with stories like this, and you should feel like, oh my God, that's the best. All you got to do is go to iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, etc. Just search OK Storytime on your favorite podcast platform, and you can listen to full episodes, so many of them, like 49 days worth of episodes. A few hours later, she called again and mentioned that she had bought some things for our house, like pans and other kitchen items. I'm not sure what they're called. I thanked her, but honestly, I'm really upset. Whenever my mom or dad know they've done something wrong, they try to make up for it by buying us things or giving us a hug. While I was grateful for the gesture, it still hurt because I know my mom probably thinks that after giving me these items, I'll feel obligated to go along with the original plan, but I won't. Way to go, OP.
All right.
That's all for today. Sorry for not having much to share, but again, thank you to everyone who commented. Some of you really gave me the strength to say no, and that is the end of that story.
My personal trainer friend asked me to lose weight for her wedding?
It's not anything personal. It's just, I just am worried a little bit about the aesthetics.
My friend, 33 female, is a personal trainer and just got engaged to another personal trainer. All of their friends were met through the gym they both work at. I have known her since we were both 5. By the way, this comes from Coco No Throwaway. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I am not a personal trainer. I am a US size 10, so I'm not obese, but I'm definitely on the fatter side. I'm very comfortable with who I am, and my doctor is too. Well, tonight she called me with the best news. Her fiance and her are putting together a great workout and meal plan together for me. Immediately no. I'm sorry, what?
I mean, like,
Did I ask for
unprompted,
this?
that's whack.
Did I ask for that?
Unprompted that's pretty aggressive.
They figure if I drop 20 to 30 pounds, the wedding pictures will be more symmetric.
I mean, it's really just we're just a big fan of symmetry over here. That's really all. we're just so symmetrical.
She was so happy and excited, like she was doing me a favor. I wasn't even sure what to say, so I just hung up and haven't responded.
I mean, to be clear, like making someone like a diet plan and a workout plan is a favor if they ask.
If they asked for it, yeah. I am completely flabbergasted. This isn't a situation where I constantly witch about my weight and then get mad when someone offers to help. I've never asked for help. I've never mentioned wanting to lose weight. They both just kind of took it upon themselves to help. Obviously, I'm going to opt out of being her maid of honor, but at this point, I'm not even sure I want to go now. Why would anyone think this was okay? I honestly have no idea how to discuss this with her. I feel like it's much more than fiance than her. And there are some relevant comments. Clem and Cat says, call her back and tell her you thought about her symmetry issue and have decided you can just be in the center of every picture to make it even. No weight loss needed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, actually, I took some photography courses and you're full crap.
Unscripted mischief. What the actual F? No, that's not okay. A real friend would never ask that of you. And OP responds, that's why I'm so flabbergasted. I've been best friends with her since I was 5, almost 30 years. And either the fiance is a lot more controlling than I realized, or she's not the friend I thought she was.
Like, who's the physical trainer though? It's your friend, right?
They're both.
They're both
Yeah.
physical trainers?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's because also it's like, wait, I'm seeing a lot of stuff for like size 10. It's not overweight at all.
Just my impression says, so they care about symmetrics more than friendship? All about image, no friend. I decline to participate. This is so callous and inappropriate of them, but you sure sound like a great friend, OP. OP says, I texted her exactly what I thought and said not to waste money on sending me an invite. I will be busy that weekend. My husband wants to get a sitter and find a beach somewhere to show me off. Aw.
I mean,
I kind of love that. Kind of sweet.
that's kind of sweet. Also, kind of like making you property, but also kind of sweet.
Yeah, in a weird way. It's kind of sweet.
Kind of like weirdly exhibitionist, but hey, whatever, if you're into it, I guess.
Kodo Amatsuka Mix. What did you say back to this? We need updates. OP says, Happy Cake Day. Honestly, I have 47 blah, 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 blah.
Happy what now?
But to answer your
it's
question,
Keon's day.
Happy what
I
now?
have no idea. I choose to walk away for a few hours to make sure I handle everything with a complete calm head. Jilbo Wagons.
Nice. Nice. Yes.
They figure if I drop 20 to 30 pounds, the wedding pictures will be more symmetric. Oh, F her. And then it's a lot of that, I think.
It's a lot of that.
But there's an
Let's
update.
go to the update. Yeah, we're in the update.
So, wow, that post blew up. I ended up deleting it because my friend lost business over it. She had told a few of her close clients her plan. When it blew up and ended up on Facebook via different news outlets, they were able to put 2 and 2 together. Decided they didn't want her to be their PT any longer. That was never, ever my intention, although I feel bad. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Anyways, her and I talked in length. She admitted her true motivation was having before my wedding photos and after pictures, her wedding, of a normal mom transformed into a fit mom. So she was trying to use you as promo.
But again, you know what? And if you like have a conversation about it instead of being like weird about it, you could be like, hey, like, are you interested in being like a guinea pig for me so that maybe I can like show some like, you know, result pictures?
She was
Not
also,
like
not you have to the symmetry of my wedding.
People just talk to each other
She was also planning on having crop top dresses.
at a wedding.
Also, what's a crop? Is that like it's just like there's a gap in the middle in the dress?
That's crazy.
At
They
a
wanna-
wedding?
They want to show off their midriff, yeah.
After 3 pregnancies, my abs are quite separated and she wanted to help. She realized her motivations were selfish. She knew I would decline, so she had hoped presented this way I would do it for her. But Yeah, her concern was never my health. She admitted that multiple times. To address a few things, $2,500 plane tickets were for a family of 5. I've also never hinted at wanting to lose weight. She knows I'm very comfortable with who I am. Also, my doctor is very happy with where I stand. I received many very strange messages and comments telling me my doctor is lying to me. I can assure you my doctor would make a lot more money telling me I was fat and needed to run extra tests.
That is so funny.
Though he's not going to lie about my health, that's about the exact opposite of what a doctor does. My husband is not a sexist pig for saying he wanted to show me off at a nude beach. He's my biggest supporter. He just meant that I don't need to hide and I'm beautiful the way I am.
Yeah. Okay.
The fiance wasn't behind this, but he's pissed that I wouldn't just do it for her. He literally said, "Tell her anything over a size 4 is disgusting," in the background when I spoke to her. You don't have to be friends with these people anymore.
Yeah,
These
you
people are
don't.
really awful.
You know what's the great thing about life is you can just like decide to be
Yeah.
friends with whoever you want.
Or not friends.
And the flip side of that. Yeah.
So good luck with your winner there. Yeah, he sounds like a nightmare. But you know what's not a nightmare?
I definitely know.
Listening to full episodes of stories just like this, just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
Again, people, just communicate with one another.
Communicate.
It was, annoying that she was like, I just knew you were going to say no, so I just tried to do it this way instead. It's like, you're not fooling anybody, clearly.
You ain't fooling no one.
And you didn't know she was going to say no because you didn't even have a conversation with her.
Yeah. Well, let's finish this up and find out what OP does with this terrible friend.
Yeah.
After we spoke, I have decided that I'm just going to go to the wedding and not going to be in the wedding. My family will stay home. She feels terrible, but we've been friends for almost 30 years. I'm also not going to fly out for her showers and bachelorette, which would have been done otherwise. This really put our friendship into perspective for me. She had stepped back a little since she got serious with her fiancé, and I didn't realize the extent of it. He has some strong views on hating anyone over a size 4, and I realized she slowly picked these up as well. I have no idea what the friendship holds after this, but I still want to be there to cheer her on for the wedding. But I don't have to be immersed in every aspect. And relevant comments, MM172, I have decided that I'm just going to go to the wedding. Wow. All I can say is that you are a way nicer person than me, because if the original proposition wasn't enough to end the friendship, finding out I'd been made the centerpiece of a promotional campaign without any input on my part would have sealed the deal. Opie says, I'm trying to be the bigger person here. Honestly, this may be the beginning of the end of our friendship altogether, or we may be friends for another 30 years. I want to go just in case we do end up getting closer again. If we don't, it's a weekend in my hometown with no kids and a free booze. And that's the end of the story.
My friend asked me to pick up his relatives across the country on his wedding day.
Well, that's too far and on my wedding.
My male, 31, friend, let's call him John, male 35, is engaged to Alma, female 30, and will have their wedding in May of 2025. By the way, this comes from user Am I the A-hole friendly throw, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. John and I have been good friends for 5 years. But we are a part of a larger friend group that often travels, goes camping, spends weekends together, plays board games, and just generally hangs out. We used to be a tight-knit group, or at least we were, before John met Alma 2 years ago. In this friend group, there's also my girlfriend, female 28, and a couple, Joseph, male 36, and Anita, female 34, who aren't married but have been together for 14 years. They come from another city where they also met John and got him into the friend group around 10 years ago. John and I became friends through a weird situation where he was thrown out of his flat by an ex-friend who was female but unrelated to this issue. We ended up moving in together and became really good pals. John may not be the best looking chubby guy, but his charisma and joking skills are very high. He has always tried to flirt with waitresses or cashiers in hopes of landing a serious long-term relationship. His experience has mostly been with younger girls, and his relationships have always lasted only a few months or less than a year. Then he met Alma and fell head over heels. They seemed compatible, and at least he was beaming with joy. However, we soon found out at a party when Alma went to bed that John, in a wasted state, confessed that Alma didn't like Anita because of the friendly relationship Anita and John had. This seemed unreasonable since we all know their relationship is purely platonic, and we're all loyal to our other halves. After this, we started meeting John and Alma less frequently, only for big celebrations like Christmas and our annual camping fishing, and boating trips, just events that are integral to our friendship. For any other event John was invited to, we always got a decline. Too tired, too busy, need to do something for Alma's family, or again, just too tired. He never calls or texts either. At this point, it's gotten so bad that we stopped inviting him, and we feel bad about it. However, he only reaches out when he needs something, like a favor of some sort, or to get stuff from our jobs for free, or just to drop something off. Currently, John and Alma live in a flat in the same building as Joseph and Anita, and even then, they are too tired to take the elevator. We do miss our friend and would help him when necessary, but at this point, the lack of communication and the rise in requests just makes me feel used. Now to the situation at hand. Last week, John visited Joseph and Anita unannounced to talk about the wedding and asked them for help. Joseph is the best man, and he agreed to be the driver for the groom and bride, taking them from their home to the courthouse, then to the venue, and back home the next day. However, the maid of honor is Alma's cousin, Mary, female 25, who's a cool and active person. She's joined us for camping and other celebrations. John used his speech asking Anita to undertake the task of decorating the whole venue with Mary's boyfriend. After Anita questioned him for more details, it was clear that nothing was planned. The venue would allow decorating to start at 2 p.m., but guests would arrive at 5 p.m. That is not enough time to decorate the whole place alone, not even with 2 or 4 people. That's an impossible task. Anita accepted, even though she feels like it's a crazy task. From that conversation, they also understood that John believed I had agreed to drive halfway across the country on the day of the wedding to pick up 4 of his relatives and drive them back, about a 2-hour drive one way. However, my car isn't suitable for this, as it is a 4-seater, including the driver. John said that he would give me his car to drive, except it has a different transmission and I have no experience with driving it. I may have only ever tried reparking a colleague's car, and that wasn't a great experience. My girlfriend could do it, and she would accept if asked. Maybe she was asked during the Christmas party, but I have no memory of it. I'm not planning to spend the day driving, though, when I could help with the decorations or other smaller jobs. More than that, I feel like it's not okay for him to ask this when we are so distanced as friends and are barely even acquaintances anymore. But here comes the piece de resistance. There is no wedding party, and the invitations are not yet sent, so no guest really knows the date, time, or place. And John hasn't even reached out to me personally in any way, hasn't told directly of his plans for me or my girlfriend in this at all. So he's like, yeah, you're gonna pick up 5 of my family members, or 4 of my family members. I don't have space. Yeah, don't worry. And then one day maybe I'll tell you what day it is one day.
It's the Fire Fest of wedding.
This is Firefest Wedding. This is Firefest 2.0. All the information laid in the previous paragraph was a retelling from Anita, and now I'm dreading the moment when John appears by my doorstep with this. Me denying his requests will set him off, as he has seemed tense and tired of wedding planning, if you could even call it that. Also feels like there's going to be an update in the next 2 weeks since his birthday's coming up, and Anita believes he will want to talk then, which again probably will include booze and bad decisions. So please suggest on how to better deal with John's request, and am I the a-hole for considering denying his request and driving across the country to pick up his relatives while the rest of the wedding planning is in shambles? And there is an update. It has been a week since the original post, and the update is he's visiting tomorrow after work, as he offered it when I met him in the grocery store yesterday. He asked, how's it going? And I told him truthfully. See point 4 below. Oh. I was hoping, and was right, that he wouldn't start the whole conversation in the store, and so he kindly asked if he could visit tomorrow to deliver the wedding invitations by hand and stuff, but didn't specify, so I'm afraid what the stuff is possibly the talk about chores he wants us to do. Meanwhile, I thought I'd make an edit update, not sure exactly how it works. Point number 1. For those wondering, we were close friends back in the day. When John was evicted from his flat, I helped him by allowing him to stay at my parents' place for a few weeks while he was looking for a new place. And consequentially, this is what led us to become roommates, as I was also fresh out of a relationship back then and looking for a new place. Long story short, we know pretty well each other's allergies, our close family members, etc. Point number 2. Since I have no living grandparents and only one aunt, uncle, and cousin, it's quite impossible to make up a reason several months in advance for us not attending. Culturally speaking, we don't have such big family gatherings unless there's a wedding or a funeral. Number 3. Regarding the time spent while driving, this is Europe, and it's a small country. It literally takes 7 to 8 hours to drive across the whole country, so casual Sunday drivers, I even walk to my work as it's so close, like me, are not used to driving such distances. Also, no other guest would be traveling as much as I would that day by going back and forth. I appreciate all the comments from the friendly Americans. However, this topic is 50-50 of question of principle and the normality of driving long distances in our country. And here's point number 4. As for not going to his birthday party, we for sure will not, as life happens. To preface, last year we booked a vacation to Spain for February with Joseph and Anita and another couple. Flight and apartments are paid for already. But at the New Year's party, my girlfriend had an ACL tear and has now scheduled an operation for the end of February. I know it sounds weird going on a trip right before the operation, but the other option is to lose all of the spent money, as I would not go as well, to support her if she chose not to go. The operation itself costs 2 months' wages, and it takes a toll on our mental health to figure out our financial situation. Additionally, girlfriend's grandma was brought to the hospital and has been in intensive care for more than a week, so it hasn't been easy. Sorry for rambling, but I feel like this is all relevant as the drama with John's wedding is making us even less empathetic towards him now. And by the way, you can be extra empathetic towards your ears by giving them full episodes with stories like this to listen to at all hours of the day. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts and search OK Storytime. And there you will find what has become 52 entire days. That's 1,248 hours.
Wow.
Of stories for you to listen to. Listen to them all and report back. I want you to list all of your favorites in chronological order.
And don't lie.
To sum up, tomorrow I think he's going to give us not only the invitations, but also to have a serious conversation, reminding you he still hasn't actually talked to us. This is all just assumptions. I would be starting with the least offensive or serious issues, going up step by step, if necessary. That is, if he doesn't take the hint, as I don't want to burn down all of the bridges. First would be his car with I'm not familiar with, like the learning curve and the sense of responsibility for his property. The distance, no offense, but I feel like we are not that close anymore. Wish us luck. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you can just be like, no.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be like a, for X, Y, be like, no, I don't want to.
No is a complete sentence.
Your cousins are going to have to figure out another way to get to your wedding.
Yeah.
Or maybe plan it a little bit longer. Hold on, maybe we could push the wedding back a little bit so we can have it planned out properly.
But what if I want to have a wedding but no time to start it? What if I want to have a wedding but no invitation sent? What if I want that?
Then you just do exactly what you're doing.
Like that.
You stay exactly on the course that you're at. And then you let me know how it goes later, because I'm not going to be there. But that is the end of that story.
My best friend secretly planned her wedding the day before mine.
There's so many other days that you could choose from, girl.
You could have done that, and we could have not pranked you, but it's April frickin' Fools.
April flippin' Fools.
So there you
Day.
frickin' go. So I'm getting married in a few weeks, and about a month ago, one of my best friends who I've known since college and I've kept in regular contact with dropped the that she was getting married. I didn't even know she was seeing anyone. By the way, this comes from Tiny Bird's Nest, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime. So she then drops that she's marrying a guy in our friend group and that her wedding is going to have to be the day before mine because her father-in-law can't get time off from work on any other time that month, and essentially gave a few other half-bootied reasons about why other weekends were impossible. One weekend would be a few days before her period starts, so she'll be bloated. Okay. The other, she's on her period. The other is Valentine's weekend, and that's cringy. And then the other one is too close to Ramadan, so she can't go on her honeymoon straight away. Some backstory about the person she is marrying. She is someone that we always thought she had a thing with, but she would always deny it and say that she saw him like a brother. We used to argue a bit over her prioritizing him over me back in college, especially because this guy and I didn't really get along that much. Her and I were so close. Example, me and her had brunch plans once, and she spent the entire time texting him. After graduation, though, I felt like we all matured and put differences behind us to the point where her husband-to-be was actually invited to my wedding as my friend. And my knucklehead reaction to her telling me she was engaged was crying tears of joy for her. I truly was happy for her, but when I went home to think about it, felt really icky. All year since I've been wedding planning, she's been asking me really specific questions about my planning process. She complained to me that as my best friend, she didn't feel involved enough in my planning process, and said that she wanted to come dress shopping with me, which I invited her to because of her expressing this. But then for her to turn around and tell me that she's been dating this guy on and off for a year while also keeping it secret, making her feeling left out of my stuff, comes across as hypocritical. And then there's the question of why rush since she's known him a decade, and why specifically my wedding weekend when I sent out my save the dates back in March, so she's had a lot of time to plan and leave some time in between ours. It's not about me having all the attention on me. It's just, how can she expect me to be fully present at her wedding the day before her own? And how selfish she must be to expect me to fit her into an already stressful weekend. When I told her this, she doubled down on the weekend that she chose being the only one available, that she specifically chose that one because she knew I'd be available since I'd booked a few days off of work before the wedding, and that she needed me at her wedding. She said that I would embarrass her around her future in-laws since she made such a point of needing to pick a date that I could attend, even though I had no clue she was even seeing this guy, nor did she check in if the day was a good fit for me before picking it. I then also expressed how upset I was that she kept the relationship hidden from me, to which she said she thought I'd cut her off because of my history not getting along with this guy. Again, we all moved past that stuff years ago and are a far cry from the kids we were when we all met back in freshman year. When I told her I didn't think I could make her wedding, she was so upset she cried and said she never thought I'd do that to her and skip her wedding. She's been telling other friends in the friend group that I'm coming to the wedding when they've asked if the date was doable for me. We haven't spoken since my conversation about how upset with her I was a month ago. I'm not trying to be a bridezilla, and I know people are entitled to be private. My issue is that she should have extended that privacy with me and not ask so many questions about my life, knowing she was being so tight-lipped with hers. This is where I now need advice. I feel so bitter and like the whole friendship was a lie. I can't make it to her wedding, and honestly, having her at mine feels disingenuous. She has been telling friends she is still coming to mine. Is it rude for me to not go to her wedding? Should I go to her wedding since this is a decade-long friendship? Part of me wants to disinvite her and her husband to be from my wedding because of the lies. Is that rude? And is there a polite way to disinvite someone from your wedding without coming across like the villain? So many questions.
I think if their wedding is the day before yours, they're probably not going to your wedding either.
I mean, allegedly, we haven't gotten like a explicit. It seems like she's implying that she would make it to her wedding too. I think
what
she
a
basically
liar!
said
That is
Yeah.
that is such a lie.
Yeah, but we have an update. A few people in the original post were asking about rehearsal dinners and all that stuff. I'm Middle Eastern, and we don't really do that in our culture. Some people also said I needed to get over myself and that I don't own the whole weekend, which is true, I don't. My issue was the lying and also the expectation for me to drive a total of 5 hours, 2.5 hours each way, there and back, the day before my wedding, and to attend another when I had so many things to finalize. I also just needed to vent. Being lied to and having something that felt so calculated happen in what I thought was one of my closest friendships is strange. Oh, and I don't think it was a pew-pew wedding, which a lot of people were suggesting. Anyways, I had my wedding. It was perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing. I didn't go to her wedding because I genuinely didn't have the time. I did see some videos posted of her wedding. She didn't copy mine, which a lot of people were worried about, considering she'd been asking me for all of the prep. So I'll give her flowers, though. Her wedding was gorgeous. Definitely not a 2-month planned wedding like she was making it out to me. In the end, she ended up coming to my wedding about 3 hours late. I was too busy being in our newly married bubble to notice her or anything, but I did get feedback from people who were sat at her table. Like, people said she would, in my original post, she spent the whole time talking about her wedding. In our culture, the bride receives a heavy piece of gold jewelry at her wedding. She made a show of her having her new husband take a piece of the jewelry out of her bag and putting it on her at the table just after my husband and I, feel so nice saying that, did our outfit change. She was also showing off other pieces of jewelry that she received, making a point to emphasize that she received real sapphires and real diamonds.
Oh, that's so cool that you have human suffering gemeralds. Nice.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Her and her husband also spent the whole time texting each other, which means they were probably saying not very nice things that they didn't want our mutual friends overhearing. And she frequently would turn to him and say, "Don't worry, we're leaving soon. They were also packing on the PDA with neck kisses. She also then cried to my mom and brother about how she doesn't understand why I've not been talking to her and how I've been so cold to her. This wasn't true. I'd only told her how much her actions and lies had hurt me, and to be honest, she was the one who didn't respond to my last message. My mom, being the classic mom she is, brought her to me and tried to make us hug it out. We have a very awkward exchange caught on camera. It's like,
I really wish we could get to that. I want to
Just
see
an
it.
angry TP hug.
my mom did tell my friend that she shouldn't have lied to me for a whole year, though, so it's nice to know that she had my back, even if she pulled the typical mom move of just trying to make everyone happy. Now, our mutual friends are all on my side. No one really thinks she's in the right. Thank God.
Oh, yeah. Well, woof.
Most of them didn't go to her wedding. With the invites being so last minute and her wedding being on a weekday, a lot of people couldn't take the time off and get childcare, of course. No one else knew about the wedding, which is crazy. Nobody. By the way, you know what else is crazy, Dakota?
I have a feeling I do.
What do you think it is?
Could it possibly be that we have a huge catalog with full episodes with stories like this?
We now have allegedly 52 days of non-stop content. So yeah, go to Spotify, go to Apple, search OK Storytime, please. I'm telling you.
1,248 hours.
It's amazing. Let's see what happens. I do believe that her truth is that she doesn't think she's done anything wrong, and she really does think that she considered me and my situation in her wedding plan. She's kind of like not assuming what we are. They're like, she's not in the wrong.
Well,
It's
I
good
think
intention.
in a way, it's like, yeah, she did consider you in her wedding plan, and she just considered that she should be inconsiderate about it. Like,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
considered, I'm not going to care that her wedding is tomorrow.
It's too
like-
fishy. There's too many things.
She didn't care.
There's too many things.
She just
like
wants to
that?
party.
Dude,
She's like, double the fun, double the party,
go
double the love.
Yeah.
Go
Don't
to
you
a
wanna
club,
double it?
like-
She's like, I'm just trying to double it and give it to the next person.
Yeah, she's gonna have another secret marriage in like a month.
Just inspiring you, OP. That's all
He's
I'm
got a
doing.
twin. He's got a secret twin nobody knows about.
No, please. Unfortunately, I think it's one of those friendships where we no longer really align, and I have taken a step back and distanced myself from her. I do appreciate that she came to my wedding. However, I think she did it to make a point more than out of the goodness of her heart and respect for our friendship, considering what she pulled.
Girl, she showed up to your wedding to upstage you. You're like, I appreciate that she came to my wedding. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
She came to make it about her.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, honestly. Edited to add some more information that people were asking, and apparently it's already in there.
It was already in there. They had edited it earlier.
That's crazy.
Whew. Yeah, I don't know if OP is like a sweetie pie or if they're just like completely delusional about this.
Yeah.
But it's like not a whole lot to be appreciative about from her presence at your wedding.
I feel like she can be more almost being like a-hole to herself. Like,
Yeah,
you deserve to be, I mean, and she's like, it seems like she's politely distancing herself, which fair enough.
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah.
just wild. Like a weekday wedding. That's just like crazy to me. Like surprise wedding, weekday wedding, day before OP's wedding. Nobody goes. Like not everyone goes. Yeah. What did you expect? Like 2 + 2 = 4.
No, her 2 + 2 = fish.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this lady thinks.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard will
two-
tell you how to make that work.
My mother-in-law walked in on me and my husband after our wedding. Oh no. Why was she even there? I, 25 female, just married my husband Mark, 25 male, less than a year ago. The story is going to begin with some background, then to the engagement, then the wedding, then the main event. My apologies for any typos. Buckle up, this is the long one. By the way, this comes from Ranting Throwaway, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, my mother-in-law, Eleanor, Ellie for short, has 2 sons, Mark and his younger brother, Brian. Brian is 23 for context. Ellie has always wanted a daughter, but unfortunately never had the daughter she always dreamed of. When Mark and I started dating almost 10 years ago, she immediately accepted me as her daughter. Okay, wow. So they started dating like at 15.
Wow.
Yeah, because she said they're 25 now.
Oh, wow.
And I was grateful for that. I didn't have a great relationship with my own mother, so having that positive female role model to look up to at that age was nice. Fast forward to last year, Mark and I were talking about getting engaged. He had a whole proposal planned out and had picked a perfect date that meant something to both of us, but also wasn't obvious, so I would be surprised. Surprising me was incredibly important to Mark. About 2 months before the proposal, Mark, Ellie, and I were sitting in my in-laws' house talking about the engagement. I jokingly asked when it was gonna be, then started listing every date from the current day until I got to the date. I was saying things like November 2nd, what about November 3rd, November 4th? And I kept this bit going for a while. When I finally got to the actual date, Mark kept his perfect poker face, but Ellie jumped in her seat and flashed a shocked look at Mark.
Subtle.
Okay, yeah. But, honestly, some people are just really bad at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
And that bit feels like, you're asking to be, if...
Yeah.
I
It's
feel
a
like-
dangerous game you're playing.
Yeah, like some people aren't good at poker faces.
Right.
Because that doesn't feel at all intentional. It's just like...
Yeah. She's just
She got
truly
it.
nervous. Yeah.
I pretended not to notice and just continued listing dates, but the damage was done. I now knew the date he had picked. If Mark knew that I had figured it out, he would have been crushed. I really want to emphasize that I had no idea that was the date. I had started guessing dates months before and kept the bit going for 5 minutes or more before I got to the date. You kept the bit going for 5 minutes or more? 5 minutes? I need people to understand, I feel like off the, just off the dome, if you're 5 minutes, not that long. 5 minutes of listing dates.
That's so long.
It's not like I guessed it on the first try. Honestly, I hadn't even really guessed it at all. Her overreaction ruined the surprise. I tried to put the date out of my head, and on the day of the proposal, I decided to try my hardest not to think about Ellie's reaction and to pretend like Mark and I were just going on a regular date. I met Mark at his parents' house, and Ellie immediately hugged me and said, "You're finally gonna be my daughter." If I didn't know before, I definitely knew then, but I still continued playing dumb. Okay, now that's on her.
Yeah,
See,
this
before
is
it's
on her.
you, now it's on her.
Yeah. Poor Mark.
Yeah. Mark's trying so hard. I excused myself to use the restroom, and when I came out, I overheard Ellie talking to Mark, loudly pawing at his pocket, saying, "Let me see the ring one more time before she comes out." I just sighed to myself and went back to the bathroom, this time loudly opening the doors so they would know I was coming and stop talking about the ring. Mark had worked so hard to make this a surprise for me, and I couldn't ruin it for him. So when he popped the question, I just had to act surprised to spare his feelings. To this day, I don't have the heart to tell him that I had known for months and that Ellie had ruined the surprise. Obviously, I said yes, and the wedding planning began. Mark and I had talked for years about having a non-traditional wedding with just my friend, who is ordained, signing the papers for us. That sounds sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my dad get ordained. I've talked about this.
Oh, that's
but
fun.
Yeah.
My mom said that when she retires, and she's retired now, that she wanted to get ordained and then do gay weddings.
I love that.
Right?
Is she on track?
No, not she hasn't even begun, but she's busy. She's busy retired gal.
She's so busy. I'm very much an introvert, so having a day where I was the center of attention wasn't a priority for me. I would have been perfectly fine with just Mark and me signing some paperwork in our pajamas. But unfortunately, where we live, witnesses are legally required to get married. We discussed just going to the courthouse, but Ellie freaked out. She insisted we needed a real wedding. Before I could even think about it or agree to anything, she got her church to send over availability and messaged a distant relative, who was a retired priest, to see if he would perform the ceremony for free. I had never met this person before, and I felt very uncomfortable having a stranger officiate my wedding. Little did I know. But since he had agreed to do it for free, it was hard to say no. Her church also agreed to let us use the space for a major discount, so again, it was hard to turn down a money-saving opportunity. I told Mark that if I was going to go through with this real wedding, then the guest list needed to be under 100 or I simply couldn't do it. He agreed, and we started making a list of who we wanted to invite. Mark and I listed the most important people and came up with about 50 guests. I thought this was perfect, but Ellie lost it. She was horrified that we didn't invite any of her aunts, uncles, cousins, or other distant relatives. She insisted that it was her son's wedding and that she should have a say on her son's day. Girl.
I think you literally just contradicted yourself right there.
It's crazy.
It's your son's day.
Yeah.
So therefore, you do not need to have a say.
Yeah, it's not really your day.
Exactly.
Mark and I explained that I had never met any of those people, and many of them Mark had never met either. We really didn't want people there we didn't know. Ellie threw a tantrum, insisting that it was her family and that we shouldn't exclude them.
Oh my gosh.
Her tantrum was so unbearable that we just agreed to add them to the list to shut her up. Mark told me not to worry though, because he had a plan. We ended up picking a date that lined up with when all of her distant relatives go on vacation to Florida, so none of them could make it to the wedding. Since we invited them, many felt obligated to send us a card with a check slipped in. So in the end, it actually worked out. Nice. But it really sucked that Ellie felt the need to control our guest list. We really didn't have to plan a lot. We sent out 100 invites and only around 50 people RSVP'd. Yes, it was a low effort wedding. I'm not a very girly girl, so I decided to order a dress online. This dress was actually a steal. No one even guessed it was only $50. They thought I had spent at least $1,000 at a bridal shop. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I was very proud of my online find, but Ellie was livid. She told me I betrayed her and robbed her of her experience of taking her baby girl wedding dress shopping. I told her I didn't take anyone shopping, so she really didn't miss anything, and that it wasn't personal. I just didn't enjoy shopping or dresses and wanted something quick and easy. She did not like that response. She demanded I send her pictures of me in the dress, and I refused. I was afraid she would show Mark, or worse, post it online, so I told her I wouldn't be sending pictures to anyone or even taking pictures of myself in it at all. She would just have to wait for the day. Now for the wedding. I have no build up for this one, so I'm just gonna come out and say it. Ellie wore white to my wedding.
No.
Ellie.
Where did this come from?
Ellie. Come on.
Girl.
I mean, like, did she go? She was like, well, if I can't have the wedding dress shopping experience, then I'm gonna go have it myself.
Yeah. Why is this literally in every single story we hear about these mother-in-laws? Yeah, they're always just showing up in white.
Why? Why?
What is the reason?
I mean, like, it's like rule number one, wedding rule number one.
Yeah.
Man.
The bride's gotta be the only one.
I just
Only
shocking.
Oh
quite
my
frankly.
gosh.
Man. I showed up at the church early to get ready, and she was already there, already dressed, and had no plans to change.
Oh my gosh.
My awesome maid of honor jokingly said she would spill some wine on it for me, but we decided to ignore her and move on. When it came time for pictures, Ellie made herself the main character. We hired a family friend of mine who wants to be a photographer to take our pictures. She offered to do it for free, but we believe that since she was providing a service, she should be paid, and she was. Anytime the photographer posed us, Ellie would try to jump in front of her with her phone or call attention to her, so we would look at her phone instead of the photographer's camera. So many nice group pictures were ruined because no one knew which camera to look at. If we refused to look at her phone, Ellie threw a tantrum and sometimes would physically push us back into place so she could get her shots too. She also stepped on my dress quite a few times in the process. When confronted about it, she stated that it wasn't her fault I picked something with such a long train. Just stand farther away from me. Literally,
Yeah.
you know what? First off, I'd be like, okay, stand over there. Sorry, can't get close to me.
Yeah.
And two, maybe, I don't know, just tell everyone, be like, okay, sorry, don't look at mom's phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, I don't know, like, put her in her place, man.
Yeah, I would make a big announcement and just be like, all right, everyone, we are paying for this photographer.
Yeah.
Let's look at that camera.
Yeah,
get
don't
what
look
we
at my
paid for.
mother's. Mom, if you want to take pictures after this, fine,
Yeah.
but like, do not look at mother-in-law.
You gotta get out of the way, girl.
Yeah. At the actual ceremony, Ellie was mostly behaved. She sat in the front row with her phone out the entire time, sobbing. But she sobbed silently and stayed in her seat, so I can't complain. Before the reception could even begin, Ellie posted pictures of the wedding and announced it before I even got the chance to. This was a small wedding, so not a lot of people knew about it. I really wanted the chance to announce it, but she stole that opportunity from me. Not only that, but she posted the worst photos because no one was looking at her phone and no one was properly posed for her shots. During the reception, we had the cake set up in the corner. It was so tucked away that there was really only space for me, my husband, and a photographer while we cut the cake. We snuck back with the photographer to cut the cake and get pictures, and Ellie screamed, "Wait, I'm not ready!" while running across the reception hall, trying to load up her camera. We ignored her, and she missed the picture she wanted.
Good.
She then demanded the photographer move out of the way so we could reenact the cake cutting for her shot. Girl, the pictures will be sent out.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you're not gonna be better than the photographer.
You're probably going to be much, much worse.
Yes.
So silly. As soon as she got her picture, she took her seat at the sweethearts table, not where she's actually supposed to sit, and demanded to be served. My husband and I decided to just serve the cake ourselves and use that as our time to walk around and mingle with everyone. Ellie was pissed that she did not get to sit and eat cake with her baby, but we didn't care. After the reception, we had a barbecue back at my in-laws' house. We did this to accommodate the fact that my family does not drink, while his family drinks enough for both families. My family got an alcohol-free reception, then his family got the alcohol-filled reception.
Nice.
Ellie got absolutely crap-faced. She drank to the point of throwing up, yikes,
Oh, wow.
and was an absolute roller coaster of emotions, cornering guests to flirt, cry, joke, and God only knows what else. I had never seen her that wasted before. She was absolutely horrid.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. I was like, I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people get like wasted at weddings, but if you're the mother of the groom,
yeah,
you know, there's a little bit of decorum that we can uphold.
Absolutely.
And for the whole barbecue, she stayed in her white dress even after I had changed out of mine. My husband and I planned on spending the night at his parents' house in his childhood room. It's a terrible idea. Why?
Oh no.
Because it was closer to the airport and we had to catch an early morning flight for our honeymoon. No. Okay, see, we've circled back around to it's back on you again.
Yeah.
The night of your honeymoon, I don't know, get an Airbnb, get a hotel room.
Yeah.
If you needed to be close to the airport, find something close to the airport.
Absolutely. They've got those. Those exist.
Yeah, shell out a little bit. Seems like you saved a lot on the wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can, shell out just, you know.
Right.
Probably get a place for like, I don't know what, $100?
Something like that.
Probably less than that.
Yeah.
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 This is on you. Back on you.
Childhood bedroom for the wedding night is not ideal.
No.
But also a very early flight the morning after is also not ideal. But you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Not a lot of ideal things going on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
After the reception, I was absolutely drained, very done with people, and very annoyed with Ellie's behavior all day. I just wanted to shower and go to bed. I am a very modest person, and I don't want to be in my pajamas in front of other people. I don't wear anything super schmixy or inappropriate to bed, but definitely not something uncomfortable wearing around my in-laws. Before showering, I made sure my in-laws were in bed. When I got out of the shower, my husband made sure Ellie was still in bed. I came out of the bathroom and we went to his room where I began changing out of my robe and into my pajamas. While we were changing, my mother-in-law burst through the door. My chest was completely exposed, so I grabbed the robe and wrapped it around myself. I won't go into details, but I have a history of SA, which made this experience feel even more violating to me.
Oh no.
To my horror, my mother-in-law was not only in the room, but in the room with her phone camera open. Girl. Trying to get us to begin opening presents because she wanted pictures and didn't want my family friend hogging all the pictures.
Girl.
What is the husband doing?
Who is hogging the pictures in this scenario?
No one's hogging the pictures.
It's literally, it's you. It's you.
It's the day of the wedding.
My goodness.
The wedding just happened. You're going to get pictures.
Girl.
If the husband doesn't like absolutely lose his mind right now.
Yeah.
And like say like get out.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's going on?
It feels like he's not. We haven't heard a lot of defense coming from this husband.
Yeah.
I was absolutely horrified and couldn't even speak. I curled up in a ball, crying and just wanting to disappear. My husband was also speechless. He was partially undressed as well. My mother-in-law was too wasted to even notice. I finally looked at my husband and just said, "Help." I could barely get the word out. He immediately grabbed a towel and yelled at his mother to get out of the room and not come back in.
There we go.
He came over to me and held me until I was able to calm down enough to speak. He promised me that she was so wasted that anything she saw, she wouldn't remember, but OP would remember. This is the problem. But to this day, I still can't shake that violated feeling. She spent the next couple of hours crying that we had treated her so horribly on her special day. Go low contact with this woman.
On her special day?
On her special day?
Girl.
Oh my goodness. Well, he was right. She was so wasted that she had absolutely no idea what had happened. The next morning, while we were trying to get out the door to catch our flight, she began crying again about the way she was treated the night before. She said she was horrified that I had blown her off like that, not even looking at her or speaking to her, and that she couldn't believe I made her own son yell at her the way he had the night before. Before walking out the door, I just looked at her and said, "We were changing, we were unclothed, sorry you didn't get a photograph my last night," and walked out. Yeah! Put your foot down, man. That's totally inappropriate. I could not put up with this lady.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'd be like, I'm never talking to your mom again, dude.
Yeah. Like, come on.
She began screaming and crying, saying, "I was just making that up to be dramatic." Sure, I'm the dramatic one. But we ignored her and left for our honeymoon. By the way, you shouldn't ignore the fact that you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search Booking Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts, though?
I just, like, wow. It's just like, I've had a lot of moments in my life I'm realizing where in hindsight, I like know what I would want to say to stand up for myself, but I really want to practice doing that in real time. And
you're like,
this would be the perfect opportunity to do that.
Truly, yeah.
You know?
It's like, it feels like OP's been like, I'm building up. And finally she's like, you know what?
No,
take that.
What? Sorry, I can't get from your new daughter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Boo.
Oh.
But there's a little bit left. A week in paradise, Ellie texting us every day, demanding pictures. Sometimes we would reply, sometimes not. Usually not. We enjoyed our Ellie-free week. She was never the same after the engagement was on the table. She became a mother-in-law from hell. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
But I really, really hope that you went low contact.
Yeah.
My friend demanded I ignore my grief on her wedding day because I might steal attention from her.
Just it up, dude. It up.
Yeah, why are you sad?
Walk it off.
There's no crying in baseball. Trigger warning for of loved ones. So if you do not want to hear about that, skip to the next story. 7 years ago, I, 35 female, lost my husband, daughter, and mother in a car accident.
Oh my goodness.
I am so sorry. They were hit by a wasted driver who ran a red light, unaliving all of them on impact. Their passing greatly affected me, and if it weren't for my friends and years of therapy, I would be in a much worse place. I am very thankful for their support and have been able to process my grief properly. By the way, this comes from Warm Blanket 12, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, 2 years ago, I took a job offer that provided more benefits than my previous one and moved far away from my city. I travel back occasionally to meet up with friends and, of course, to visit my family's graves on their anniversary. It is a 7-hour car drive or around an hour by plane. Due to the vid, last year I drove to avoid contact with people and stayed at my old house. This year I planned to do the same, but I ran into an issue with my friend having her wedding in my old city. My friend, Amy, 33 female, announced she was engaged last year to her boyfriend of 3 months. My friend group and I were quite shocked as we had never even met him, nor knew she was dating anyone. Yeah, I mean, she was only dating for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
We usually tell each other these things. Nonetheless, we congratulated her and were happy for her. They were supposed to have their wedding last year, but couldn't due to the vid, so they postponed it to this year. We are not in the US, and the vid cases are now fewer than 10 in my country. Gatherings of fewer than 15 people are allowed, and that is what Amy decided to do for her wedding. About a week ago, Amy called me privately to tell me her plans for the wedding. She told me that she is having it on the same day as my family's anniversary and would like me to not visit their graves, instead attending the wedding. I'm sorry, so she picked it knowing that you couldn't do that?
Yeah.
That's so strange. I thought it was going to be like, oh, she didn't know the day or forgot about the day.
Right.
And then planned the wedding. But like for her to be like, no, I planned the wedding and you specifically can't go to your family's
like,
passing anniversary.
Can you just like move it, maybe? Can you just reschedule
That's crazy.
to pass it? Like, what?
I was quite shocked that she planned her wedding on that specific day and questioned why she picked it. Amy told me she just liked the date and said I can't just gatekeep a certain day. When I asked why I couldn't visit my family's graves, she told me she didn't want my sadness and grief to take attention away from her wedding.
These are big red
That's
flags.
so
from a friend.
callous.
Big red flag.
So callous.
If it was the kind of thing where it was like, this is just like how the schedules worked out and like when these are available and stuff like that, I'm so sorry. Like that just happens to be when it is. Is there any way that could work out for you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, but this was like, no, I picked it because I don't want you to go visit your family's graves and you can't visit them actually at all.
Yeah, it's just like, can you just like not be sad for a second? Like you're going to ruin my day if you're sad. Can you like not be?
I was incredibly stunned by what she said. I know I can be quite emotional, but I also know how to compose myself and behave at certain events. Here's where I think I might be the a-hole. I told Amy that unfortunately I will not miss out on visiting my family's graves. I tried to offer a compromise and told her that if my emotions were such a problem, I would visit their graves after the wedding. She said she wanted my support for the entire day and wanted me to dedicate it to her, but she would think about my offer. Honestly, I would be like, no, it's not an offer. This is what I'm doing. You can either not have me come to your wedding or like that. This is how it's going.
Yeah, like just accept that I'm going to feel my emotions and don't let it affect your day if you don't want it to.
It's been a week and I have not heard from her. I feel like I should just go to the wedding to keep the peace as I owe it to her, especially after all the support and love she gave me after my family's but isn't giving to you now. Like isn't capable of being kind to you right now.
Right.
But it still doesn't feel right to attend the wedding and forget about my family. Would I be an a-hole if I told her I won't be attending the wedding at all if she hasn't reached a decision? No. Your friend is the a-hole. She's treating you like your feelings don't matter
Yeah.
and that she is the most important person in the world. The world does not revolve around her.
Agreed.
But there are some comments. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I have a question. Why is Amy allowed to gatekeep that day for her own, but not you? After all, her wedding anniversary will be on that date from now on. Will she try to force you to forget about your loss every year? I think it's really insensitive and selfish of her. And reply, trying to control your emotions in addition to your actions. She doesn't only want you at her wedding, she wants to control what you do with the time you're not at her wedding. As if that would stop you from being sad. Exactly. It's like, honestly, probably you not going to the grave would make you more sad because you would feel guilty.
Yeah.
Reply this. Amy gets zero say in what you do with your day. Go to your family's graves and do your usual ritual. Then go to the wedding. If she asks, tell her what you do when not at her wedding is none of her business. In fact, text her that right now and withdraw your compromise. You don't need to compromise with her. Reply, frankly, I think OP could also tell the other friends about what is happening because OP should not have Amy weaponize this with others. OP, do not compromise with anyone on this. And there is an update.
Right.
But do you have any thoughts before we get into it?
Yeah, I just think like if this was a conversation that they had of being like, you know, hey, by the way, this is going to be like, is that going to be a problem? How are you going to feel? You can totally feel whatever emotions you are. This is just like a date that I liked and that worked out, you know? Like that would probably be okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that she said like, your sadness is going to ruin my day, that's like totally crossing the line.
Absolutely. But there is an update. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who replied. I was not expecting my post to get this level of attention. I have read all of your comments and thank you once again. I am in tears and became an emotional mess after reading your thoughtful responses. Thank you for the love and support. They've always felt like some sort of emotional burden to my friends, so thank you for your encouraging messages and for telling me to keep my head up high. Even though we were all strangers on the internet, it feels like I've gained a new family. Now for the update. I did what some of you suggested and called my other friends to let them know what Amy had asked of me. They were quite livid and angry on my behalf, as they had no idea what Amy was planning for the wedding. We arranged a Zoom call with her the next day to discuss why she was being so insensitive to me. I'm sure Amy took that great.
Yeah.
Well, the call was quite the battle. It started off calm, then Amy just blew up.
Boy.
You guys were right when you said that Amy was jealous of the attention I received during my family's passing anniversary. Her wedding was a way to shift the attention towards her. She tried to explain that by having the wedding on that day, it would turn a negative situation into a positive one. When she realized she wasn't convincing enough, it felt as though a mask had fallen from her face. She started yelling and insulting me, saying that she was tired of playing the supportive friend role and that it's been 7 years. I should just get over it by now or just go join my family in the ground.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
I would literally, if I were her, I would never talk to this woman again.
Absolutely.
If I were any of the friends on this call, I would never talk to this woman again.
Absolutely.
I'd be like, you are not the person I thought you were.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Whoa.
Oh my God. My friends lost their anger and called her every name in the book. I am honestly just shocked and disappointed in the person who used to be my friend. It breaks my heart knowing I lost another person in my life, but I guess you guys are right. She never really was a friend. Looking back at our friendship, I now realize it was often one-sided on my part. I wish it hadn't taken me so long to see it. No one in our friend group of 6 people is going to her wedding now. We have decided to go no contact with Amy and block her on all social media. My friends have offered to visit my family's graves with me, and I accepted.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, you're just finding out who your real friends are, and it like really that it had to happen this way, but we are now planning to make a scrapbook with my family's pictures. For once, I'm actually looking forward to this day, and we'll start planning more meaningful activities like this. Thank you once again to everyone for helping me through this, and please remember, do not drink and drive. I'm begging you, please don't. Please drink responsibly and drive safely, everyone. Oh, and I'm just not going to segue into this one. By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search Bokeh Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story.
Mhm.
But really, really awful that
Yeah.
Amy treated you like this.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you have real friends who are willing to be there for you.
Yeah, that's super sweet. So, like, because like obviously, if Amy meant so much to OP, it's like if she just loses her and doesn't have anyone else there to support her, that's like her only person. That would
Yeah.
be like she's alone. But I'm so glad that all of these other friends are offering all of this and all of this support.
Absolutely.
So nice.
Some are asking about Amy's fiance and his thoughts. We haven't heard anything as we still haven't even met him. We tried several times to meet him last year, but something always came up. I guess we'll never know his true feelings.
My friend expected me to fund her wedding. It ruined our friendship.
Why would you expect that from a friend? From what? I need more. I need more.
I, 31 female, and my best friend, let's call her me, 32 female, met in the summer of 2005 when her family lived next door to us. I don't even remember how we became close. I just remember that we clicked almost instantaneously. I was 11 and she was 12. We became each other's partners in crime. I admittedly get closer to her than I am with my sister. By the way, this comes from Last Talk 87, and if you want to submit your own story, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, when I turned 18, I moved to a bigger city about 7 to 8 hours away from my hometown. This is where I found a job and slowly built my career and became independent. Around 2017, I decided to move to a different company, and that's when I met my husband-to-be. Let's call him Ralph, 32 male. After about a month of getting to know each other, we decided to start dating and have been together since. This is an important context, so please keep in mind. Getting engaged is not common practice in our country. It's usually reserved for only the rich, the prestige. Common folks usually go straight to the marriage talks. No proposal, no rings. With that said, me and Ralph started talking about getting married in 2020 and started saving for the wedding since. Same year, 2020, I was contacted by me asking me if she can temporarily live with me while she's job hunting, and since I don't live with Ralph, I obviously agreed. At this time, I understood the indication that she won't be able to help out with rent, bills, and groceries, but I'm fine with that. I was earning enough for the both of us. A month after she moved in with me met her boyfriend, Jay, 27, Mel. At this point, she has not found a job. Her reasoning was that she hasn't found the right job for her yet, which at the time I supported. Until 2 weeks after she met Jay, she told him to move in with her at my house without my knowledge.
You gotta have the knowledge first. Knowledge. You need knowledge.
If my brother said, hey, can I move in with you in LA before I found a job? I'm going to be like, sure. You have exactly 7 days, 160 hours before you find a job that you can stay here. That's what I'm telling that
I
fool.
mean, honestly, in LA, you can find a job in a week. It's probably not going to be a job you like or a job you want to keep for very long, but you can definitely find a job out here in a week.
Yeah, there's jobs. Jobs exist, everyone. Imagine my surprise when one day I got home from work only to see some random guy in the living room in his boxers sitting on my couch out eating my favorite snacks while watching TV. I threw my bag and my shoes at him, shouting, "Tell him to get out of my house!" Startled, me emerged from the kitchen, looked at me, and then laughed while introducing Jay to me as if nothing strange was happening. I pulled her into my room, asked what the heck was happening. She just said that his boutique business went down due to the vid, and he has nowhere else to go, so she invited to live with her. Mind you, they've known each other for 2 weeks at this point.
Okay, that's unhinged behavior.
I can't wrap my head around this and tried to reason with her, but since I immediately was a people pleaser, can't say no, she was able to convince me to let them stay in my basement.
What are we talking about? This is not like a stray cat that they found. This is a grown human being.
So now your salary has to feed 3. The same basement I renovated as my library/movie room, my most favorite part of my house. And yes, you guessed it right, they lived with me rent-free. And since both of them are unemployed, they can't seem to contribute for bills and groceries. Ha ha ha. At that time, I just thought that I was helping her. But since I'm earning more, it's no big deal. Sadly, this just caused more arguments between me and Ralph, to the point that I had to sit me down to talk to her about the situation. She started taking gigs. Jay remained unemployed, and she was able to contribute to at least 1/4 of the bills and groceries. Still rent-free, but at least she's starting to contribute. That's what I thought! As me was too picky. She don't last in whatever job she got, so it came to a point where she only gives me that 1/4 contribution once every 3 to 4 months.
All right. Okay. Stop it. Stop being a chronic people pleaser. Stop with your CPP.
I even tried offering them a job at the company I work at, cleaning crew, and pays good. But they declined, giving excuses that the job is not right for them or whatever. This lasted for 4 years.
Oh my God.
What?
I get help in family. Was that random guy there for 4 years? When did the random guy leave? First of all. Second of all, what is it? But the job wasn't right for me. Any job that pays you money that you can pay me, that you owe me, is a good job for you.
Me and Jay decided to go back to me and Me's whole clown, stating that there's no work for them there.
Jay was there the whole time. What did they start dating? They were dating?
There's a lot. They're just too picky. After they left, Ralph and I started to talk about our wedding plans again. At this time, he and I still don't live together. As I mentioned, we started saving in 2020 and had our plans to get married postponed twice, 23 to 24. After almost 8 years and multiple family dramas, we decided to finally tie the knot this year. As we saved a significant amount of money these past 4 years, for reference, Ralph and I both worked in marketing and earned 6 digits. We decided to make our wedding grand. By December of 2024, we've selected a wedding planner, coordinator, found a beautiful church and venue for the ceremony and reception, and are currently in talks with suppliers and vendors. By January of this year, we started asking people to be a part of our entourage. No one else knows about our wedding outside the entourage, as we haven't announced it yet. I call Me personally and ask her to be my bridesmaid. My sister is my maid of honor, and she agreed. She sounded genuinely happy over the phone. However, a week after my call with her, she posted on her Facebook account that she and Jay are getting married on April 2025. Remembered when I mentioned that engagement and proposals are not common? Our common friends congratulated her without asking when and how they got engaged. The thing is, I did not know about it either. If not for the post, I wouldn't even be aware that they are also planning to get married. I called to congratulate her, asking about it, and she just said that it just happened. Oh, it just happened. Jay was saving up money and just so happened to have a ring.
It just happened. You know, we felt we were in the right place to do it after we mooched in someone's basement, essentially, for 4 years. And I don't know, did they ever get jobs? They had to have, right? I'm going crazy over here.
I don't mind getting married on the same year as her since the month and date are different. I even asked her if she wants to stay in my bridal party or if she wants to be a guest instead, in which she reassured me that she still wants to be my bridesmaid. It is worth mentioning that our entourage won't be spending a penny for our wedding, as we decided to cover everything, from dresses, hair, and makeup, etc.
Hey, at least you're not bitter about the extra money you could have saved if you had been properly charging rent for 4 years for 2 people. Dude, 2 people, willingly sharing extra space with 2 more people who aren't paying you money,
Around the 4th week of January, me and Ralph started our plans, including the budget to our entourage, which surprised them. Us and our group of friends are from the middle-class families, so their surprise is understandable. I made sure to let them know that we saved for 4 years for this wedding, and we want to make it as grand as we can. Unfortunately, this did not set well with me. Meh.
Are we going to call him Meh?
Yeah. She called me one day asking why I am trying to upstage her and why I am ruining her wedding. I reminded her that she did not mention anything about her getting married, and I just learned about it from her Facebook. She then started to say comments about us spending too much on our wedding when it will be only for a day.
Big facts, though. I'm going to agree there. Big facts.
Saying how it'll be better if I spend some of our budget for her wedding instead.
Oh my God!
Everyone, Dakota has left the building. I was flabbergasted. The way she said things made me think that she just saw me as a piggy bank. That she is entitled to my money. What's worse, she demanded that I postpone my wedding, saying that another postponement on our wedding won't make a difference since our wedding was already postponed twice anyways. She started seeing red. She knows the reasons why we postponed. She knows how miserable me and Ralph were when our initial wedding plans got postponed. She said that the audacity to demand that, she did not even ask. She demanded it. To top it off, she said she'll make use of the venue, flowers, catering, and other wedding stuff we already paid for. To think we are getting married in the city we currently live in while they're just getting married in our hometown.
Clearly, is like way out of line here, but I wonder where they got the idea that you'd be willing to pay them money. Would it potentially be the 4 years you essentially paid for them to live with you? Just a thought.
I lost it. I don't like confrontation, but the devil inside me awoke at that time. I told her everything about how I felt ever since she let Jay stay at my place without consulting me first, to how I covered for their rent, bills, and grocery, to how she changed after meeting Jay. I let it all out to the point that I was sobbing. I realized how hurt I was and how I've been holding it in for the last 4 years. They've stayed at my place. She just stayed silent, then hung up on me. I haven't heard back from her, so yeah, I chose to proceed with my wedding over my best friend of 20 years. I guess I don't have a best friend anymore. P.S. I forgot to mention that me talked to our common friends about trying to upstage me and ruin her wedding. Since me posted about her wedding first, they believed her, and I've lost more friends. Ooh. No. You got, as soon as that happens, whoever the news gets to first, they'll believe. But you gotta go to PR. You gotta PR that. You gotta come back.
Yeah,
from that.
exactly. It's like, oh, did they tell you the whole story or just that? Oh, they just said that I'm trying to upstage them. Okay, cool. I've been with my partner for 8 years. We would have gotten married earlier, but I had them stay essentially for free at my place for 4 years.
Yeah.
Because they were just too broke to afford rent, I guess.
PSS, I forgot to mention that me was from a religious family and that the wedding was forced by her dad, as he caught them in bed together. I was also told by a common friend that I'm still friends with that the possible reason for me's outburst was because she compared my wedding to hers. I was told that she will be having a civil wedding. Breaking news from both of them are still employed and me's dad is paying for their wedding. What's new?
Choosing to be unemployed for 4 years is insane. Choosing, that's a choice. You've chosen now that you're going to be unemployed.
Okay. Update. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words. It has made me realize that I don't have to be sad about this lost friendship and made me recognize who my real friends are. I'm still in the process of accepting it, but I'm getting there. So here's the update. I talked to Ralph about this. I showed him your comments, and he agreed with you. We have set up passwords with our vendors, suppliers, to avoid any possible issues. We are also in talks with our wedding planner and the venue owner for a possible change in venue. Going back to me, even before, Ralph kept telling me that her and Jay staying at my place freeloading was not right. Sadly, I had too much faith on our relationship that it made me ignore all the red flags. But trust me, looking back, I can say that me was not like this. When she was there whenever I needed her most. I never felt that she used me or took advantage of me when we were younger. But I noticed that it all changed when I moved away and started working. For context, I got into university at 15 and graduated early at 18. Which is why I was able to move away from her hometown for work early. While I started working, she remained at school. Unfortunately, she did not finish college, and we met the wrong crowd. This will be relevant later on. Ever since I was a kid, I've been told that I liked giving gifts. And this continued to adulthood. I can say that this is my love language. Same. This is why whenever I was on vacation to her hometown, I always bring my friends gifts, like skincare, clothes, and food delicacies. I also take them out to dinner from time to time. I think this was when me started taking me for granted and started taking advantage of me. Looking back, I realized that whenever we are out, either I asked to go out or she asked me, it's always me who foots the bill. I also remember that I always gave her gifts on her birthday. I even paid for our vacation on her 25th birthday, but I never once received a gift from her. Not even a simple card. She just simply sent me a text wishing me a happy birthday. Back then, I just thought that since she's still a student, it's fine. It's the thought that counts. There was also a time when she introduced me to her group of friends. Same friends that cussed me out for stealing their thunder and ruining her wedding. And yes, The same, wrong crowd. It was supposed to be an eat out with just the two of us, but I ended up paying for more than 6 people.
Dang.
This random meetups with her random friends happened multiple times, and I remember that I always was the one paying for it. One of her friends even borrowed money from me, $500 with me's guarantee. I should have known then, but as I said, I was blind, and yes, I never got that money back. After thinking hard about it, I realized that she really did take advantage of me. She used and financially mistreated me for years. With that said, I called my mom earlier today and asked her to pass the phone to me's dad. My mom and her dad are still neighbors. I told her dad everything. I also sent him the copy of the ledger I kept, all unpaid bills, rents, and groceries. And yes, I keep ledgers for all of my spendings, something I learned from my job. Surprisingly, her dad told me that she was sending money to me all those 4 years that she lived with me. Yes, she was receiving money from her dad.
What? What? What are you doing? What are we doing? What are you doing, Dad? What?
I was told that the said money was for her part of the rent and for her to buy her own groceries. I was surprised. I told her dad that I have not received anything from me other than the amount indicated in my ledger. He was livid, especially to the fact that she was living with Jay all those years she was here. I'm not sure where the money went. Maybe that's how she was able to buy things while unemployed. Anyhow, her dad told me that he'll be paying it back. He also told me that he won't be paying for their wedding anymore and will be giving them an ultimatum.
Also good for him. Thank
Either
God.
to find a job and get married, or he will punt them both out of his house.
Let's go.
Now I will be getting my money back soon. We'll be using it for our honeymoon. And there is a possibility that me and Jay won't get married. I also blocked her and her friends' numbers as well as in Facebook because I'm sure that she'll be calling me nonstop once she hears from her dad. She does not have Ralph's number, so I'm not worried about him. By the way, you guys don't have to worry at all in your lives if you go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify,
iHeartRadio,
and search up OK Storytime and Boom Pop Pow. There we are, with stories as crazy as this one. If you like it, go check it out. Yeah, good for OP. Good for OP. Got her money back. Things are working out. The dad's got a spine. Also, the dad's really nice. Like, what? So yeah, for now, I guess all is well and unpaid debts have been settled. I'm a little guilty about the possibility of ruining me's wedding, but Ralph assured me that since me and her friends already accused me of doing so, I'm just owning up to it. So that's the end of my update. If I ever hear more about them, or if they'll get remarried this April, I will let you know. And I will also post an update after Ralph and Mai's wedding. Thanks again, everyone. Dang it, I wish it was after this. I wish I didn't know the story was a thing until after the wedding. Dang it. But dude, that was the story. Wow.
I mean, OP, I think you really need to focus on not worrying about everyone else's stuff or anyone else's stuff, but yours.
Yeah.
Like, take responsibility for your life and your actions. You're not ruining anyone's wedding.
Oh yeah, no, you're good.
They ruined it by being liars.
Yeah.
And essentially stealing from May's father. Yeah, that's not on you.
I've kept my marriage's secret from my mom for over a decade.
Well, maybe she's not nice.
Now, when we made the announcement of our family engagement, our families were super excited, but especially my mother.
Okay, it's positive so far. She's excited for your engagement.
She claims to be a very family-oriented person. I was really looking forward to this bonding experience with her. I was approaching my late 20s, and I was still under the illusion that maybe if we planned my wedding together, she would start treating me better in our relationship. Maybe she would finally see me as the individual adult that I am.
Seems like wishful thinking.
Now, her and I had a very difficult time in my early childhood due to certain romantic partners my mother dated and her recklessness with money. Sounds like not a winning combination. She also severely bullied me from childhood and the teen years all the way up to just a few years ago. I'm 39 years old as of this post.
Why is she bullying her own child?
So I was gaslit into thinking that that was just completely normal. I thought that all mothers were supposed to be extremely tough on their daughters, even if they said the coldest, cruelest things.
Aw.
Even if they were untrue things that were said, they're true now because she said so, and that I'm a liar by nature. Bad children burn in.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're getting
Oh
a
my
very clear
goodness.
taste of what
Is
this
your
mom
mom
was saying.
the Grinch pre him having his heart grow?
The tension of planning our wedding first began just a week after the announcement. My mom would randomly call me on the weekend to discuss things like catering and flower arrangements, which you would think would be all nice and dandy. On one of the phone calls, she cussed me out because she wanted to serve barbecue and Brunswick stew.
To give you guys an idea of what Brunswick stew is,
Yes.
it's a hearty tomato-based stew typically made with a combination of meats and vegetables. It often includes chicken, pork, or small game, along with various vegetables like lima beans, corn, potatoes, and okra.
So it's just kind of like an everything stew.
Yeah,
Oh,
quite a combo.
Pretty much, and barbecue sauce, and ketchup are commonly added for flavor.
I was already escalating now. To myself, I found it incredibly odd that she knows that I absolutely despise Brunswick stew. I have to be in the mood for barbecue. It's not something that I usually choose to eat. She didn't even try to ask what we wanted. She just called us all selfish for wanting different food choices. When it all came to planning the decor, and keep in mind, again, I believe this is her wedding dinner.
Yes.
When it came to planning the decor, I wanted an enchanted forest, a fairy tale theme.
I like.
Very cute. I had a Pinterest board with ideas that were all really good to go. I thought she would be proud of me for being prepared. My husband and I absolutely loved Lord of the Rings, the books
Hell yeah.
and the movies. Yeah,
Love. Yeah. Yeah. It's my type of wedding.
we like that. We did not want to do a cosplay type wedding. We just wanted to borrow from the aesthetic of the movie. Not that there's anything wrong with cosplay weddings, mind you. She was set on having a country western mason jar burlap barn wedding.
Which kind of makes sense with the Brunswick barbecue kind of food.
Yeah, it all
Seal?
goes to hurt the mom's theme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the mom's theme, it makes sense.
Everyone's saying it's very common in like the South, Georgia, Virginia. This all makes sense.
Yeah.
This
It's just like,
all
we're going to
makes
have a
sense now.
country wedding.
Okay.
Mason
And
jar
there's going
wedding.
to be
yeah,
Brunswick
very
stew and mason jars. And the Brunswick stew is going to be in the mason jars.
Cute, but not what OP wants.
Exactly.
Mother. Now, this is when I really had to start masking my anger. I'm hyper aware that her and I have opposite tastes, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I'm the type of person who really loves reading fantasy novels, manga, and watching animated and horror movies / shows. I am a big time nerd, goth, and dang proud of it.
Big time rush.
Tell them. Dude, shout out to them. It wasn't even that she didn't like The Lord of the Rings. She adores those movies and had a great time watching them with the whole family when they came out. So it was very confusing as to why I was having so much pushback. I was so desperate for a connection with her that I ignored our past. In my preteen and teen years, I was not allowed to express myself in any way because my mother was convinced that my interests were goth trash.
It's just like, you want a Lord of the Rings wedding? It's disgusting.
My mother was convinced that my interests were goth trash and it was only for crappy artists, weirdos, users, and it would turn me attracted to the same gender or gender diverse people, and then I'd never be able to get anywhere in life.
Aren't you actively getting married to like a man?
I would be a shame and embarrassment to the family. Joke's on you. I'm non-binary. So it worked. Let's freaking go. Oh man. So she would not listen to any of our suggestions and would purposefully talk over me, cut me off, or just flat out scream. Tasteful. She would also tell me how juvenile and classless our choices were. She said my lavender and my husband's choice of cream wouldn't mesh well together. How I have no eye for this type of event planning. I was used to my mom being like this. I was shrugging things off while boiling inside. I thought if I just kept pushing gently, we would eventually come to some sort of understanding. As I originally opened my story with my cousin Gigi's wedding, this is where reality came crashing upon me. We had an absolutely magnificent time.
Woo.
It was a beautiful venue. The food was delicious, and my cousin looked like a princess. I was ecstatic for her. So this is cousin Gigi's wedding, I believe. Everyone was stacking on compliments to my mother because she was the matron of honor and helped Gigi plan every little thing. Apparently, they really enjoyed planning it together, which I thought was a good sign. I had gone to the restroom and I ran into my mom. We were the only people in there. We were washing our hands in the sink and I smiled really big, turned to her and said, "You did an amazing job with Gigi, and I really look forward to what we could do together with my wedding."
I really look forward to working with you in the
Yes.
future.
Now, as I went out of the bathroom, I felt her grab my upper left arm, and she squeezed hard, slightly digging in her long acrylic fingernails. And she pulled me close to her face and said, "You and your fiance just show the F up and shut up. I'm planning everything. This is not about you. This is not about him. This is my day."
So see, we've just figured out why giving your mom control of any part of your wedding is a bad idea. Because now she thinks that it's about her.
I stood there alone, shaking. I had to hide and cry alone and fix my makeup before returning to the reception. When I told my fiance what had happened, he was seriously taken aback. He has an extremely loving mother, so this chilled him to the bone. He was like, how in the heck does a mother feel like that, especially when you're such a wonderful, loving person?
Ooh. OP grew despite their mother.
Now, it finally dawned on me. Why would I let someone who has had 2 divorces, a broken engagement from the guy that cheated on her last husband with, wow, that's a story we got to read, and now a rebound husband give me advice on anything?
That is the question of the hour.
Yes.
The question I think is on all of our minds.
We came up with a plan together.
Ooh.
My fiance and I lied to my mother, telling her that we were just too stressed about planning a wedding and that we were just happy how we are and that we're in love and that is good enough. She didn't get angry. She said that she was happy not to have to spend the money and that she respected my decision. For years to come after this decision, quote unquote, she would hold it over my head in front of family that every cousin was getting married except for me. During all of this, I have a very close friend who is about to move to Oregon. Oh, I didn't know we would see each other in person again. We had known each other since high school, and I really wanted him to be at our wedding. He was like the brother I never had. He had also become very good friends with my fiance, so he wanted him there too. So we started planning a backyard wedding so we could get everyone together without the stress of travel and money.
I think they're planning a secret wedding right now.
That weekend, we met up at our favorite Chinese restaurant with my fiance's family and talked about things that my mother had done. They agreed to keep it a secret from my family because I did not plan on inviting her. I couldn't invite anyone else in my family because they adore her and think that she's an amazing mother. They wouldn't want to believe the reality of the situation. My fiance's family are the greatest people I've ever known. They sat with me, listened, and cried with me, feeling my pain and supporting everything. They happily kept everything off of social media and blocked her on everything. Everyone officially hates my mom too.
Nice.
Woo! Cheers to hating mom, I guess.
Solidarity.
There we go. My longtime friends since high school were eager to support me. They are my ride or die gang. I did not break a single sweat about having a non-traditional wedding because I'm an incredibly non-traditional person. It didn't have a lot of decorations, but the food was scrumptious. The company was immaculate. The weather was perfect. The justice of the peace was such a kind woman and conducted the ceremony. I felt absolutely ethereal and gorgeous in my black satin wedding dress and purple ombre hair.
Aw,
Ooh,
very
that's-
fun.
We got married the day before Halloween, and it was truly the happiest day of my life.
Nice.
After everything was said and done, I started keeping my mother at arm's reach, going lower contact a little more each year, and going to therapy.
Nice.
I found out things between her and I were a heck of a lot worse than I thought. That can happen.
Not nice.
Not nice. She also had hidden my autism diagnosis from me for over 20 years.
Like she found it and then was like, oh, put that away.
I found out from one of my other cousins who overheard a wasted confession at a family party. Wow.
Wait,
But-
like your mom's wasted confession was that you have autism? She's like,
At a family party.
I didn't know what to tell my daughter or my child has autism.
You can listen to full episodes that have stories. I know. Just like this. I'm sorry I've kept it from you. It's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You just have to search OK Storytime, Sophia. There, I said it. So last year was our 10th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Flash forward epilogue.
Secretly, though.
Secretly. I also went no contact with my mother right after Mother's Day of that year.
Dang.
Everything was extra special. For our wedding anniversary, we went to an Airbnb that looked exactly like a Hobbit house.
Love that.
Fire. It was absolutely incredible. That was one of the happiest days of my life. And in the future, we plan to renew our vows, and she wouldn't be invited to that either.
Nice.
Thank you for sticking with me through this crazy ride. Thank you for your time. So, am I the a-hole, Sophia?
Truthfully, I think no. I think you kind of answered the question that we were asking of, when does it end? And it seems like you just kind of slowly went no contact. So you never really had to tell her that you had a wedding.
My mother is making wedding planning difficult, so we eloped.
Get it over with. Just do it already.
I am Izzy. I'm 23 years old, and I'm currently planning to get married in early January in just a few weeks. My fiancé proposed a couple of months ago, and honestly, we weren't stressing too much about the wedding planning. By the way, this comes from user Independent Cat 4900. If you want to submit your own stories, go do it at the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, both of our families offered to help with the arrangements, and since we're starting fresh, new jobs, moving into a new place, it just felt natural to keep things small. We decided on a simple civil ceremony for now, and then maybe in a few years, once we've saved up, we can have the big traditional wedding. A little background about me: I'm an atheist, but for some reason I've always dreamed of a church wedding. It might sound strange, but it feels right for me. So we figured, why not wait until we can really afford the celebration that we both envision? Now, here's where things get complicated. My family can be difficult, to say the least. My mom and I don't have the best relationship, and while my dad and I get along well, he tends to side with her no matter what. When I explained to my mom that I wanted to keep the wedding small and save for something bigger in the future, she seemed to agree, or so I thought. But without telling me, she went ahead and hired a wedding planner. Imagine my surprise. Then she sent us an insanely expensive budget. Sure, my family could easily afford half of it, but my fiancé's family, not so much. When I told her his family couldn't contribute that much, she dismissed it, saying it was their son's wedding and it was special. She kept saying, "You're the bride, you get the final say." But here's the thing, she wasn't giving me the final say. She was making plans behind my back, visiting venues, setting up meetings, and expecting me to just go along with it. Fast forward, we finally settled on a compromise. The main event would be a small family dinner with about 30 people at a steakhouse on Friday, January 3rd. But of course, my mom, being my mom, was not satisfied. She started planning a second event at a family-owned property, calling the steakhouse dinner ugly and too informal to invite her friends. To keep the peace, I agreed to have the signing ceremony on December 28th at her chosen venue, a more elegant setting for family and her friends. Even with this compromise, the fights didn't stop. Today was no exception. As a foreigner in this country, I need specific documents for the marriage to be legally recognized. I went to the courthouse to file them, but my copies were rejected. My fiance's dad, who has some connections, kindly offered to help. When I called my mom to let her know the most likely date would be Friday, January the 3rd, the date my fiance and I had originally planned, she lost it. "Izzy, we agreed the main event would be on Saturday, January 4th, and the signing would be on Friday, January 3rd, she said, clearly upset. I panicked for a second, thinking I'd mixed up the dates, but I've been meticulous about keeping notes of everything she said to avoid these kinds of issues. In the ongoing tension with my mom about the wedding, the situation only got more complicated. On December 20th, today, she sent me a message saying the wedding ceremony should be Friday, January 3rd at 6 p.m., followed by a family dinner on Saturday. I reminded her that Valentino and I had already made reservations for the Friday dinner, and I explained again that the venue couldn't accommodate us on Saturday because of the number of guests. She had previously agreed that Friday was the best day, but as usual, she seemed to forget what we had discussed.
Oh boy, what a headache.
When I told her that the reservation was already set for January 3rd, she became upset and defensive, claiming that I wasn't making decisions and that she wasn't being considered. At one point, she said she had exams starting on the 3rd, but just a month earlier, she had confirmed she wouldn't have any that day. The conversation quickly escalated, and I tried to remind her that we had been clear about the dates for months, but it didn't seem to help. In the end, it felt like no matter what I said, it wasn't enough. My mom tried to take control of the situation, pushing for her own plans, and I was caught in the middle trying to balance her demands with what my fiance and I had already planned. For real, like a person where they're so flip-floppy and so manipulative, you have to keep a log of what they've said so you can
Yeah.
tell them what they've already agreed to is too exhausting.
So exhausting. It's like this person should not be anywhere near event planning at all if they can't even remember their own thoughts.
So I got home really upset, and my mom called me asking me to leave my phone at home because she didn't want me recording the conversation, since she tends to do that with her professors at her university. So I left it. She started yelling at me, saying she wouldn't support me financially anymore, that no one considered her, and that she was paying part of everything. She said that if she wanted, she could talk to my dad and cancel everything. I asked her if she was manipulating me, and she said no. Still, I said, well, when dad gets home, we'll talk and all come to an agreement. Then she calmed down and went quiet. She started calming down, but kept saying things like maybe she wouldn't attend my wedding, that my fiance's family was manipulating me, and that no one would love me more than her because she and my dad are my real family. After all, we're foreigners. It was honestly horrible. So when I got to my room, I called my fiance and asked him, can we change the date? He asked why. He said no, but that we could try. Then I asked, what if we cancel it? And he said yes and asked what I planned to do. I was honest with him. I told him I didn't want the party anymore, that I just wanted us to get married, go somewhere nice to eat, and play all night. I was tired of the stress of the wedding, and that once the money was ours, we could do something better. He happily accepted because he's very introverted, and I know he was doing the whole gathering thing more for me and to celebrate with his family. Still, he said he respected my decision. I told my dad, I asked when was the last time we talked about it, and he said about a month ago. Then I said, how strange. Mom told me you talked about it yesterday and that you agreed to change the date. And he got nervous saying, oh, maybe, but I don't remember.
You don't remember what happened yesterday? Yesterday? Really?
I told him to stop defending her and that I had already decided to cancel the event. I would be happier doing nothing, and once I had the money, I would know what I wanted to do. I know he'll tell her, and who knows what will happen tomorrow. I'm really scared, honestly, and there's an update here.
Oh, boy. What a mess. And now the dad's messy, too?
I didn't expect
Gosh.
so much feedback from yesterday's post, and I'm really grateful. I showed my fiance the comments, and he was surprised by how many there were. Thank you all for caring. It makes me feel less alone. To clarify a few things, yes, I live with my parents, and yes, I want to get married before I live with my fiance. Even though I'm an atheist, it's hard for me to let go of certain things that I was taught. My relationship with my mother has always been difficult. She's a manipulative evangelical, and while I'm not against religion, I don't agree with how she uses it. For example, when she found pictures I'd shared in a long-distance relationship years ago, she called me a sleut, banned me from talking to my brother and dad, forbade me from touching my dog, and even removed the doors from my room and bathroom.
Don't touch the dog. You're going to get all your dirty sleut germs on it.
I was grounded for 6 months with no phone, no TV, no contact with my family. That's insane. The only thing she gave me to do was read a Christian book. At the time, my brother was just a teenager, so I had to clean the house, cook, and do everything else while both of my parents worked. I'm not trying to focus on my dad right now, but he's always been somewhat okay with her decisions, so that's why I'm not going into detail about him. While this might not directly relate to the current situation, I want to share it as an example of the things my mom has done. It's also important because the wedding situation is bringing up memories of my 15th birthday. She decided everything about my quinceañera, my dress, the guest list, including my bullies at the time, and what I was supposed to do that day. I didn't even get to eat because I had to look perfect and greet every guest. OP, I hate your mom.
Yeah, this is, oh my gosh.
I have always felt that my mom views me as a reflection of the life she wished for, though I'm not entirely sure about that. Today wasn't any easier. I went to my fiance's house to get away from my parents and have some time to myself. However, My dad came into my room in the morning and suggested that we could try doing the event, even though I had already decided I wasn't going to do it. He proposed, let's do it at our place the day before and then do the main thing on the day we planned. I was exhausted, my face swollen from crying all night, so I told him that we could have discussed this yesterday and I could have talked about it with my fiancé. But honestly, yesterday's situation was the last straw for me. A few hours later, my mom came into my room and suggested the same thing. She was acting oddly. She seemed almost shy and not like her usual self. I told her the same thing, adding that it would be better if we didn't have to worry about it anymore. She seemed mad but didn't want to argue. Instead, she started complaining about how I never tried to talk with her or share my opinions, and that if we communicated more, she'd understand me better and have a clearer idea of what I really want, which is BS, because all she would do would lord over your opinions and your thoughts and tell you that you should think this way or do this instead.
Exactly.
Later, my fiance picked me up and we went to his house. I showed him the post I made and he was really engaged with the comments, even sharing some of them with me. Seriously, thank you so much for the feedback. A few hours later, my mom called. I put her on speakerphone and it was a bit sad yet somewhat funny to me because she was apologizing. What a strange thing.
I was not expecting that.
She said, I'm so sorry about how I acted yesterday. I guess, which is not an apology. My fiance was like, what the heck? I know I didn't act okay, I think. Again, what are you doing? Then she said, I want you to be happy, and started trying to convince me again about doing the reunion. I denied her once again, but I don't know how to feel about it all. But by the way, I know exactly how to feel. I know exactly how you should feel about listening to full episodes with stories like this, and you should feel like, oh my God, that's the best. All you got to do is go to iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, etc. Just search OK Storytime on your favorite podcast platform, and you can listen to full episodes, so many of them, like 49 days worth of episodes. A few hours later, she called again and mentioned that she had bought some things for our house, like pans and other kitchen items. I'm not sure what they're called. I thanked her, but honestly, I'm really upset. Whenever my mom or dad know they've done something wrong, they try to make up for it by buying us things or giving us a hug. While I was grateful for the gesture, it still hurt because I know my mom probably thinks that after giving me these items, I'll feel obligated to go along with the original plan, but I won't. Way to go, OP.
All right.
That's all for today. Sorry for not having much to share, but again, thank you to everyone who commented. Some of you really gave me the strength to say no, and that is the end of that story.
I accidentally revealed why I broke up with my ex. His girlfriend left him after that. I, 27 male, had a relationship with him. Let's call him Mikey, 26 male, around 5 years ago. Mikey and I met at college and started as friends, then turned into a couple. We lasted almost 2 years, but I broke up with him 3 months before reaching that date. By the way, this comes from Tonight Lost 57. And if you want to submit your old stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, the summarized reason on why we broke up was because he didn't give me my place as his partner and prioritize time with any other person that wasn't me. I'm not saying like the he wasn't with me 24/7 kind of thing, but the we agreed to a date to hang out together and he canceled on me for the 8th consecutive time to hang out with his friends kind of thing. It wasn't the lack of love or cheating on behalf of no one. And I tried to break up with him thrice, with him begging for another chance, and each time with him doing absolutely nothing to change. So the 4th was definite one, and despite him asking to get back together, I stood my ground and ignored him for at least 6 months before talking to him again. By the time I talked to him again, I had already moved on. I'm not sure if he did too by that time, but I was clear in me not to have romantic feelings anymore, and that I was willing to be friends again because I missed him as he was my best friend previous to our relationship. I put some strong boundaries, like not trying to make a move on me ever again, and many others I don't find relevant for this post, and he seemed fine with it. Now, We are not the bestest of friends. We are just friendly to each other, but we're not awkward about not having the same level of friendship than before. Since we used to be more physically affectionate now we aren't. I dated some people, but I'm currently single, and he's gotten into a relationship a few weeks ago with Carly. We knew Carly way before being friends or getting together, and both me and Mikey loved her because she is a genuinely amazing girl. When they announced they were together, I was happy for them, but at the same time, I was low-key worried about her since apparently what broke my relationship with Mikey happened with his previous partners too, according to what he said to me himself. So I was a bit concerned that he would try and pull that same card with her, but ultimately decided to not intervene since his new relationship was not my business now.
Just enlightened. I like that. That's
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to mind your business.
Because Mikey's your boy. If you heard something about Carly, I'd be like, yo, this is what I heard about Carly. But Carly's not your girl. Carly and you are not like super tight. So, but it does suck that you know. But if Carly, here we go. Carly comes to you. Hey, is there something I should be worried about? Boom.
There you go. Yeah, don't just do it unprompted. But if you're asked for the info, go ahead.
Well, I ended up unintentionally intervening. Kind of. We were all hanging out with friends 3 weeks ago when we started talking about relationships. And I commented how I was fine at the time being single and getting occasional matches on Tinder. I used to be very active on Tinder before, but now I slowed down a lot and I'm much happier being by myself. He said something like, haven't found someone to leech onto yet? I was a bit surprised by his comment because, first of all, it wasn't like him to say something like that. I thought someone else said it before realizing it was him after everyone turned to look at him as shocked as I was. And second of all, what the heck? Why does he suddenly have the audacity to say it as if I was always demanding his attention? I honestly ended up playing dumb and I tried to stay clueless as possible. What do you mean? I don't think he was trying to mock me because the entire time he had a dead serious expression like it seemed he actually believed I was the one being clingy. He responded, you know, man, like those times you got mad at me for going out with my friends and stuff like that when I tried to act nonchalant and said, oh yeah, I remember, yeah, I was pretty mad back then. I was expecting that we could go on our date as promised, but you canceled again to go out with friends without telling me in time. But it wasn't even leeching, and it happened a long time ago. Why are you bringing it up now? In front of everyone?
Yeah, that was a weird power play. That's going to get Uno reverse card back at you.
Yeah, I recently had a conflict with someone, and it didn't go well, and it was in front of someone else, and I just didn't know what to do with myself.
Oof. You got to play
and it was all my fault.
The role of peace. Oh, so it was just like you misspoke essentially?
Basically.
Oof. Yeah, I hate when that happens. That's happened to me.
And it just didn't go the way I planned.
Yeah. No, that's crazy, especially when it's like, given the context is like he's going to hang out with his friends and it's like, well, we had a date, but couldn't you at least be like, yeah, do you want to come hang out with my friends too?
Yeah.
Like you just completely ditched your partner multiple times over and over again.
Carly looked at him a bit confused, like expecting him to clarify what I meant, and he said, well, as I said before, I wasn't gonna choose between my friends and my boyfriend. Both were important to me, so maybe it's good you stay single for a while. The world doesn't spin around you, you know. Carly seemed a bit shocked by his response, which I understand since Mikey is usually a really gentle and loving guy as a partner and as a pretender, and tends to be extremely romantic at first before pulling out. So the sudden accusation towards me seemed very out of character. I replied, well, it's obvious the world doesn't spin around me, but we were planning to get married. Wasn't it a good enough motive to prioritize me a little bit more? Because I did prioritize you, and you even promised me to change every time I tried to break up with you. So, of course, you knew you had to prioritize me. You just didn't want to. Mikey seemed like he wanted to argue more, and I stared at him in silence, waiting for his reply. But he kept quiet instead and didn't say anything while he kept sulking the rest of the hangout. My friends and I moved on from the awkward moment, but Carly and Mikey obviously didn't. Carly looked very conflicted and deep in her thoughts after that. We all eventually left to our homes, and nothing eventful happened until this morning. I must remind you, 3 weeks have passed, and I kind of forgot about the small argument I had with Mikey during that hangout, especially because we tend to go out with our friends almost daily. But around 3 days ago, Carly stopped showing up, and Mikey excused her, saying she was feeling under the weather, and that's why she wasn't coming. Then yesterday, Carly suddenly left the group chat without a word. We were all confused and a bit worried, but she sent a DM to everyone assuring she was fine and that she wasn't mad with us or any dangerous situation, which calmed us down a lot. But unlike the messages she sent to the rest of us, my my friends, Harley sent me a longer and, to tell the truth, somewhat sad one. She first started the explanation she sent to everyone that she was fine, and then proceeded to tell me that after hearing what I said about Mikey about a relationship, she started having her doubts because she had a really similar experience to what I was describing in a previous relationship, but with the much more heavier stuff going on that I won't detail here. But it was a very emotional, harmful, and draining relationship, and she didn't like how he responded to me when I argued that he should have prioritized me much more than he had done. So I think Mikey probably yelled or like had like a kind of
No,
vibe.
I think it would be while sitting next to your partner going like, yeah, I told you, person who I was considering marrying, I won't be made to choose between you and my friends. And then she's probably there like, but you would maybe choose me over your friends if we were going to get married, right? Like, what? Just a weird thing to say. It's just I don't know what he was on, man.
She feared he would do the same to her, so before taking any decision, she sat him down and asked him about his priorities in life. And yeah, she found out that while he was eager to compromise like he did when we were a couple, he pretty much didn't want to prioritize her enough and excused himself on the fact that he was an emotionally invasive type and has always been, basically implying he was like that and he probably wouldn't change. She broke up with him and she was still pretty sad. She told me she wasn't sure if it was the best decision since Mikey was a wonderful guy, but the thought of him doing the same to her once again gave her so much anxiety she had to get out as speedy as possible. She asked me not to reply, but that she appreciated me and thanked me for everything. We weren't really close friends, but we got along really great. I didn't reply like she asked, but left a hugging emoji just to let her know I read it. A whole different story can be said about Mikey though. He is devastated and doesn't seem to understand why she left him, and is seriously thinking of asking her for another chance, even when she denied it when she broke up with him in person.
Oh, wait a minute. Is Mikey not being emotionally evasive right now? Ooh. Oh, what is that?
I feel like Mikey, there's a checkbox on Mikey's list, and that's a partner. And once that's good, he's like, I don't have to worry about finding anyone else. I can just go out, do my own thing, hang out. But when that box is not checked, inside, little hamsters going crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what the mental of that is like, wait a minute, I don't have a partner to neglect anymore. But who am I gonna neglect while I choose to hang out with my friends instead?
Yeah. I had to give him a mental smack by scolding him and telling him that he should put himself together and stop being mediocre in his relationships, because the only reason everyone leaves him is because he doesn't put any effort into his relationships. He got mad and said I had no business in his relationships and that I didn't have to say unnecessary stuff to his girlfriend. Well, now ex, lol, because I put her against him and now she thought he didn't love her, which is not what she said or thought at all. I kind of chuckled because of how ridiculous he was being and said, all right, bro, whatever, and left. Thinking about it, maybe I was a knucklehead telling him all that stuff now, and I should have been gentler about it since he is having a breakup. I don't blame myself for telling him his truths in front of his girlfriend because he brought it up first, but maybe I could have handled it better and changed the topic since the beginning. I don't know. I'm confused and part of me feels guilty since a relationship ended because of what I said. Am I the a-hole? I don't think you're like the a-hole at all.
I mean, if you had brought it up first at that little gathering, like he literally like took a shot at you and then you were just like, defense, deflect. Yeah, here's reality. Would you like to reply to that? And then he did. And you again were like, well, sidestep, that's not real. Here's what really happened. And then he literally was, he dug his own grave there. So I don't know. You're not at fault there at all.
It's not your fault. Not your fault. Guys, what do you think? But I'm going to get back into this update now. I'm updating at this hour of the morning because I stayed up all night talking through the phone with Mikey and we had a productive conversation. So it turns out he found my post and almost since the day I made it, lol. I thought of the possibility since he also uses Reddit, but I wasn't too worried even if he saw it, because if he saw it from the perspective of strangers, maybe he would realize how foolish he looked. And it worked like a charm because he did get too self-aware of how he was acting. He stopped talking talking to me for a while after our last fight, but honestly, I was a bit too dumb with him to care. I was like, if this is how our friendship ends, then this is gonna be on him because I didn't do anything wrong. Honestly, I'm a bit too prideful, especially when I didn't even do the first attack, so I mentally refused to apologize to him since he was the one responsible for messing up his relationships. Well, last night he texted me the link to my post saying, "You didn't have to describe me like that." I asked him, "Did I lie?" And he didn't reply for a while, but called me a few minutes later and we spent the night talking about the issue. So, well, he told me after Carly broke up with him, she tried giving him another chance because, like I said, he was a really sweet guy and she really liked him. He didn't want to try it again, too, but apparently he said something about me that really annoyed her. He didn't want to tell me what it was. I think what he said was to mock me because he said I would get mad if I knew, which already got me really irritated, but I didn't want to make a fuss because I still wanted to hear what happened.
So let me get this straight. You get broken up with by your girlfriend because you said some out-of-pocket crap about OP. You manage to get back together with her. She gives you another chance. Then you say more out-of-pocket crap about OP, your ex, and she leaves you again.
Yeah.
You're a fool, my guy.
I didn't elaborate in my previous post, but even though we weren't close, Carly said to me and also Mikey that she appreciated me for a few favors I did when she needed them. I did tell her at times she didn't need to compensate me and just return the favors when I needed them, and she did. So even if we didn't talk too much, we still got along really well and would consider each other good friends. So when he said that she got angry with him, not in an aggressive way because she is not like that, but she got cold with him, and after avoiding him like the plague for some time, she broke up with him. She said she didn't like the fact he wouldn't put his crap together and that he mocked me even when he was the one starting the petty argument. And I just defended myself. I'm trying to he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He just doesn't, it's just not clicking with him.
He just didn't know how to not run his mouth from the sound of things.
Yeah.
He's just a very me, all about me kind of person.
And you can't tell him that he's wrong.
Any person who's like, I need a partner and I need, I want you to be with me and you can't leave me and blah, blah, blah. And then by the way, going to be completely emotionally avoidant. And I'm always, if it comes down to, we have a date night, but my buddy's like, yo, come over, we're going to watch Lord of the Rings for the 17th time. I'm going to go hang out with them. And it's like, and by the way, my ex is smelly and I hate them. It's like, dude, stop it.
Yeah.
You're just motor mouthing your way into the ground.
She has been rejecting his calls and blocked him. And when he cooled down from the breakup, he started reflecting on his behavior. He apologized to me and acknowledged that he was being a butt. Like I said at the start of the update, Mikey found my post, which only made him more resentful towards me. When he read it, he started feeling self-conscious about his attitude, but was in denial. He didn't tell anyone because that would mean he would have to show them the post and potentially have them agree with me. So basically, he knew that if another friend saw the post, they would 100% disagree with Mikey, and that would either hurt his pride or make him angrier. He didn't want to talk to me, but after Carly broke up with him, he started to realize that the argument in the first place was very dumb, especially over something that we both had already moved on from a long time ago. He admitted that he felt a bit hurt when we first talked since our breakup because I moved on from him way too fast. He was kind of expecting to get back together after giving each other a break, lol, for a few months. And when I came back to talk to him again, I was dating another guy, so his hopes were shattered.
That guy's just toxic. That's toxic. That's a toxic assumption.
He might be doing word jujitsu to get back with you. Or word salsa. He's trying to accept that we weren't meant to be even when he said he was fine with it. And it hurt even more because I was very firm when I told him I wasn't interested in him romantically anymore. I honestly didn't know about it. And while it was not my intention, and maybe it did hurt that I even resumed contact with him. But when I said I missed him as a friend, I meant it. Outside of those things, he's still been an amazing friend. He was with me when I lost both my parents in an accident. We graduated together, and he even took me into his home when I felt alone, even letting me bring my dogs with me to play with his dogs. I felt bad because all that time I thought about my own feelings, but didn't think that coming back to resume our friendship would hurt him. He doesn't have romantic feelings for me now, but he was still salty about it, in his own words, by the way. When we ended up talking about our unrelated stuff, when we cut the call after he realized he was getting late to work, so I would say that we ended the call on good terms. I think we are back to being friends now, but I won't push or invite him directly to spend time with me. I'll only do it when we are with our friend group to make it less awkward. I feel relieved that we have talked things out, and thank goodness, because I miss messing around with him. But again, I'll take things easy. One of our friends even jumped into my DMs asking if we made up after Mikey sent something to the friend chat, and I interacted with it after ignoring each other during our argument. When I said yes, he sent a lot of happy cat stickers. I think he's glad, lol. And guys, you can be glad that after this story, there's a place for you, a place for your ear holes, and that is where, Dakota?
iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I mean, even YouTube has a podcast section you can find us on. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to over 1,200 hours worth of stories.
Boom. Do you think this is a friendship that should have got back together?
It doesn't sound like Mikey's going to actually level it out. Like, it sounds like, because again, what do we know about Mikey? Mikey talks, he says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then does not do that. In fact, does the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So Mikey could be like, I've moved on, everything's fine. But has he moved on?
If Mikey actually changes from this and actually has some self-realization, I'm down for it. But if not,
people can change.
Anyways, in case of any of the people who gave their opinion on my previous post or reading this, thank you for validating my feelings. I felt at some point I was being unreasonable even when I knew I wasn't. I just needed some confirmation since our friends didn't want to take sides, so nobody other than Carly reassured me about what happened. I'm seeing you, Mikey. Okay. They can see through the fourth wall. Guys, that's the end of that story. That kind of ended on a weird note.
Yeah, that was kind of, I'm not sure if that was ominous or if it was like, I'm seeing you, Mikey, like we're seeing each other. I don't think so. That I would definitely not recommend again.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
Anyways, OP, you did the Lord's work right there, trying to get someone to realize their flaws. It's now on them, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. You've done your part.
My brother-in-law's fiance wore white to my wedding, so I'm refusing to attend theirs.
Game of Thrones wedding. Red wedding.
No.
Red wedding.
No, we don't want red wedding. No.
Red wedding.
No.
March 18th, 2025. A little background. My 32 female husband, 38 male, we'll call him Dan, has one brother, 33 male, who we'll call Jordan, whom he has never gotten along with. By the way, this comes from user CrunchyZombie4909. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, Dan isn't much of a sharer, so I don't know all the details. All I know is that according to Dan and Jordan's aunt, Jordan was horrible to Dan growing up. Jordan is also notoriously disliked and known to just not be a good person by just about everyone I've met that also knows him. Their own grandmother warned me about him before we met. Jordan is not just unpleasant, he is a fully hatched bigot.
No. Oh my
Also,
God, that's why his grandma hates him.
Now, I'm not usually very confrontational. I have chronic people-pleasing disease, CPP. But also, after a few drinks, I'm a tad more flippant with my opinions. Over Christmas, Jordan made a comment about people of other races not being real people, and I lost it.
Is this the guy we had yesterday who's like, women aren't real?
Women aren't real, and then just
And we got
ratcheting
Mussolini
it
over
up
here.
to the next level, being like, people who aren't the same color as me
Not
aren't real people.
Wow.
That's insane.
You're diabolically awful.
The meanest thing I said was, thank goodness you live somewhere your opinion doesn't really matter. They live in a very, very blue state. He responded that I didn't matter, LOL. So I just got up and walked away to help his fiance. This guy's got a fiance? 25
Okay.
female, Katie, wash the dishes.
I'm sorry. Everyone just let that slide?
Ooh, what is this?
Everyone just let that slide.
They're
No
just
one
like,
else but you was
"Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's you know Mussolini.
Oh yeah, well it's typical Jordan that everyone dislikes, saying that minorities aren't real people.
Also, his response, he goes, "Well, you're not. I don't like you." What did he say?
Yeah, he's like, well, you don't matter.
You don't
It's like,
matter.
I
She's
wonder
like,
if
"Oh, at least your
OP
response doesn't matter."
is.
You don't matter. Are you a
What is it?
2-year-old?
I apologized to Katie, in my mind, for having to deal with Jordan, but in her mind, it was for yelling at him. She responded with something along the lines of, "No, I'm sorry. I wish I believed in something that much."
Girl, what?
So I thought that was a little odd. But we were all pretty intoxicated, so I just didn't pay much mind to that comment. I also agreed to be nice to Jordan for the rest of the evening, mostly to keep my mother-in-law, who I love, happy. The rest of the evening, Jordan sulked in the corner, and while Katie, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Dan, and I opened gifts, chatted, and had a generally good time, considering what happened. Some background on Katie I feel is important to the story is she's one of those people who looks like a real housewife. Not in a bad way. She just looks all glammed up and is always wearing designer clothes and bags and expensive jewelry. She actually looks like a lot like a younger Brandy Glanville from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I like the nice things as well, but I'm much more the type to live in sweatpants unless I need to go somewhere that requires real pants. She's also very loud and loves to be the center of attention, whereas I'm dreading my own wedding day simply because of all the people looking at me. Katie and I really couldn't be more different, and I didn't necessarily see that as a bad thing at first. But there was something about her that rubbed me the wrong way, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. I was a little weary of anyone willing to date someone like Jordan, and I just had this weird feeling that Katie didn't actually like me or was trying to one-up me in some way. That feeling probably came from the fact that Jordan and Katie got engaged 2 months after Dan and I, and set their wedding for August of this year, 6 months after ours. I've seen enough Charlotte videos to know that maybe I was just being insecure or projecting or something, so I just kept those feelings to myself and tried my best to befriend my future sister-in-law, but it just seemed so odd to me because Jordan and Dan's parents had absolutely no idea Jordan was even considering proposing. Things started to get weird, though, when I invited her to my bachelorette party via my maid of honor, who was planning it. Her response was thanks, but I already celebrated her in Nashville. Nashville was a trip we were both invited on with my mother-in-law to visit mother-in-law's sister and our future female cousins since they lived there. It was a semi-celebration for me, but more of a girls in the family trip, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. But fine, we don't live in the same state, and even though my bachelorette was a local one-day thing on a weekend, I understand it's a trip for her, and not everyone can take off work and afford to make the trip. I was still a little hurt, but again, was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Keep in mind, though, all of this was before the Christmas chaos, but again, after the blow-up, Katie and I seemed to be getting along fine. Surprisingly well, in fact, and I actually started to think maybe we could be friends. Flash forward to Dan and I's wedding day. The way the venue was laid out, I was able to see all the guests arriving and taking their seats from my getting ready suite. So I'm standing at the window watching people arrive, getting pumped to marry the man of my dreams. And in walks Jordan and Katie in a white dress.
Dude, I forgot the title. I thought this was just Jordan Hate Train.
I immediately just started laughing, which probably that's the best way you could probably take that, simultaneously in disbelief and also just not surprised. The night goes on and the vast majority of people in attendance, at least on my or our friend's side, were absolutely appalled. My wedding planner was livid, and the bartenders even asked me unprovoked if I would like them to spill a drink or two on her. Honestly, at the time, I felt so vindicated and relieved that my instincts about her were correct. I told them not to worry about it. I mean, at this point, I feel like if you wear white to someone else's wedding, everyone there knows exactly the kind of person you are.
We already know what kind
I
of
think I
person
have
they
a
are.
Yeah,
pick.
it's like we're just letting her
Jordan
dig
is
her own
universally
grave.
disliked.
I think I have the pic of the dress because again, OP posted it at the very beginning, and I was gonna
Ooh.
save it till we got it. I don't know if this is the exact thing, but
I think it is.
That's what she wore.
That's what Jordan wore.
That's what Jordan wore.
Yeah, that's what Jordan wore. That's what
That
Katie
Jordan
wore.
wore?
Sorry, Katie Jordan. That's, yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Perfect.
That's a wedding. That's
Yeah,
a wedding dress.
That's one way to show up to a wedding. The wrong way.
I don't.
Yeah. That's a wedding dress.
It's
You don't wear
white,
white.
It's
It's white. It's white.
white.
I will say it's
It's
white.
a really. It's
Doesn't
a
matter
really,
what you're wearing. If it's
White.
white, don't
it's a
wear
wedding,
it.
Yeah.
Don't wear white.
Yeah.
So the funniest part about this, which I found out later, is that my maid of honor confronted her and said, "Why would you wear white to a wedding?" And she goes, "It's not white. It's cream.
Oh.
I would never wear white to a wedding. Yeah, it's cream."
She's like, I'd never wear white to a wedding. I just,
You idiot. You think I'm wearing white? It's cream.
this,
Which is not a shade of white.
yeah.
Now that a couple of days have gone by and I've had some time to stew, I realize how incredibly disrespectful that really was. I mean, she's either as stupid as she looked in that dress and didn't realize the dress wasn't appropriate, or she did it intentionally. So anyway, now on to the would I be the a-hole part of this post. Jordan and Katie are getting married in August. It's a 4-day destination wedding in the Bahamas and would cost a minimum of $1,800 between the hotel and flight for Dan and I to attend. attend. I know this would really upset my mother-in-law, but Dan and I really do not want to go. If it were in their hometown, we would just deal with it for mother-in-law. But the idea of taking time off work and spending almost $2,000 to celebrate people who don't even hesitate to hurt us on our own wedding is not necessarily on my bingo card for 2025. I don't want to ruin my relationship with my mother-in-law and father-in-law because they really are wonderful people, but I also refuse to spend the rest of my life being disrespected by Jordan and Katie. So I feel like we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. So please tell me, would I be the a-hole if we refuse to go to my brother-in-law's wedding after his fiance wore a white dress to my wedding? And Sophia?
No. Why do you even want to go to their wedding?
Like, all other contexts aside, if you're going to make your wedding cost almost $2,000 for us to attend, that's a perfectly reasonable
no,
reason
sorry,
to not
can't
attend
make
in and of
it.
itself.
I'm not going to
Can't do
Mussolini's
it.
wedding.
I'm not gonna pay $2,000 to go to your wedding. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
He got some comments here. Number one, as many people have pointed out before me, an invitation is not a summon. Anyone who is planning a destination wedding can't expect everyone to attend due to price and time constraints. Quite frankly, Katie and Jordan sound like selfish people. Send your regrets and a gift. OP says, you're so right. I need to remember that. The people pleaser in me doesn't want to upset my mother-in-law, but as someone else said, I need to protect my peace, and being around people like Katie and Jordan is literally the opposite of that. Commenter 2 says, not the a-hole. Don't go. Take a vacation with your husband or pretend to be sick. Might want to look into getting her dress recolored with Photoshop if she's in any wedding photos. Mustard yellow works, or maybe a grainy brown. OP says, my photographer literally just emailed me and offered to do that. What an awesome idea. Can't believe I didn't think about it. Comment 3, if you're concerned about your mother-in-law, you need to give her a fair warning or have your fiance do it. Something like, we really can't afford the time off or the expense. You have a pretty good reason since you just had a wedding and probably took time off for that. Hopefully you can get away with just that. Surely your mother-in-law gets it if she confronted sister-in-law about the dress. Hopefully she'll understand. OP says, sadly, I don't think mother-in-law did say anything to her, and I'm not sure if she would, even if she did know it upset me. Mother-in-law really is lovely, but she's mostly in denial about the situation because she so badly wants a big happy family. Like the morning after the Christmas blow-up, she acted like absolutely nothing happened and just kept talking about how lovely it was to have everyone there. So I'm already anticipating having to explain why we feel disrespected. Commenter 3 says, I already celebrated her in a white dress at my wedding. This is absolutely perfect. I've already seen her in a white dress at a wedding. I'm sure they won't even miss you as you don't matter. LOL. Enjoy some extra time with your husband. OP says, this is an extremely valid point. I mean, I'm basically a ghost to them, and they've invited 220 people to their wedding anyway, so I can't imagine they'd even notice our absence. And how many of those 220 will actually attend? OP says, another solid point, but they are the kind of people that value people based on their annual income. So it wouldn't surprise me if most of those people showed up, which is another reason I have no desire to go. 220 people, all with the same morals and class as Katie and Jordan. No, thank you. And we have an update from 2 days later.
Definitely don't go.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, not only do you have to pay like $2,000, but also it's Jordan. It's Jordan and freaking Katie. The nightmare squad.
Yeah, Jordan, people who aren't the same race as me don't exist.
And Katie, I wore white to your wedding.
Why are we acting like we want to spend a single second with these people?
They're
No,
like
we don't.
peas and carrots, but for toxic people.
Okay, here's the
The
update.
update.
Dan and I have decided we are not going to attend the wedding. Huzzah! As fun and petty as it would be to go and wear the same or a similar white dress, or go and announce a pregnancy, I know in the end that would just hurt me and the in-laws I actually like more than it would Jordan and Katie. Plus, their wedding guest list is 220 people, and if even half of them are like J and K, well, who knows what they would do if I show up in white. There are a few family members on dear husband's side that we know aren't invited. I know a 220-person destination weddings, and they couldn't even include the whole family. So we may go visit them during that weekend instead. As for mother-in-law and father-in-law, we are planning to talk to them this weekend and are just going to be honest about why we didn't want to go. I didn't mention this in my original post because I didn't think it was relevant, but mother-in-law and father-in-law are fairly well off. They would 100% offer to cover the cost of the entire trip if we tried to use the excuse that we just can't afford it right now. So we might as well just tell them the truth up front. Fingers crossed that they can see our side of things and also realize that what Katie did was not only disrespectful to Dan and I, but to mother-in-law as well. No secret, mother-in-law wants a big, happy family, so to do something so blatantly inappropriate could have been the start of a mending relationship. Seems like a slap in the face to her as well. Plus, we genuinely fear what drama they would stir up up once kids are involved. So we agree with everyone saying we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. I also got to talk with my photographer this morning and share some of your amazing ideas with her. She was loving it. She confirmed that Katie was only featured in 2 pictures and then in the background of a few others. So she said that she'll send me the unedited photos first and then we can have fun. Comment 1, if you decide to go, wear something flowy / not clingy and don't announce anything. Just faint during the ceremony due to your delicate condition and say, oh, I don't want to announce anything and take away from the bride and groom. Commenter 2 says, no. Do as the one Redditor that spent the whole wedding smiling secretly, nursing her belly, no drinking, don't say a word, let people blah, 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 blah. Guys, do we want to give them any more energy?
No, I think OP's not going already. Though. This is just fun kind of little we're brainstorming, but it's not happening.
Guys, we have to prioritize our peace of mind. Okay? This is not going to do that.
OP's going to do that.
OP says, ooh. Now, this is something I could definitely have fun with. Okay. I worry a bit about the karma of lying about a pregnancy, but if no lie is actually being told and people just happen to assume something, that's a different story. Commenter 3 says, when you talk to your mother-in-law, please emphasize that what they did hurt both of you. You focus on these posts and how horrible it would be to upset your mother-in-law, but if she doesn't worry about how much you were upset, then that shows she doesn't think very much of you. Be very clear that Katie and Jordan are both responsible for causing you and Dan a lot of pain. They broke the big happy family, and until they do the work to repair it, you and Dan are both done with them. And by work, that doesn't just mean a half-hearted apology that you were upset. It means a real sincere apology about what they did wrong and steps of how they will make it up to you. Opie said, I didn't even realize that, but you're right. It would speak volumes if how this impacted us doesn't make an impact on how she feels about the situation. It isn't fair for her to put the burden of a good relationship with them solely on us when they do nothing but show us how they aren't worth it. Update number 2. Again, 2 days later. Let's go. Before I start, I feel compelled to share, in case anyone was wondering, that Dan is 100% supportive of me sharing this story with all of you. I introduced him to these videos when we first started dating, and we often watched them together. This morning, after the wedding, when we were discussing everything, he goes, well, on the bright side, at least, you got a story for the subreddit. Quick background, I mentioned in a comment or two, but not in either of my posts because I was trying not to ramble. After the Christmas blow up, Dan had told mother-in-law that we really didn't want to invite Jordan and Katie to our wedding. We had invited people from all different types of backgrounds and did not want Jordan to say or do anything that would make anyone feel uncomfortable. Mother-in-law begged and pleaded, saying that Jordan would never.
What do you mean he would never? He's already done it.
He's done it. That she would watch him like a hawk all night and that she would disown him if he ever did anything, etc.
But he already has, and you haven't disowned him, so that's a lie.
Exactly, that didn't happen. So I learned a couple of new things about Katie and Jordan's behavior at the wedding. I heard from a few different people that Katie and Jordan were being snarky and dismissive to guests, including to some of my family. I didn't know exactly what was said, but I do know that the bartenders had to cut Jordan off halfway through the reception because of how much he was starting to act up. Now, you can do whatever you want to hurt me, that's one thing. But as a proud Italian American, Mussolini, full circle, don't you dare F with my family. That was truly the last straw. I told Dan what happened, and we were both on the same page that we are absolutely not going to their wedding under any circumstances.
Huzzah!
We had kind of already made the decision, but we both knew there could be a way mother-in-law could talk us into it. Not anymore. It was going to be a hard no. After finding all this out, I finally broke down about the situation, and after a good cry, decided I needed to go on a nice long run. Well, while I was running, my amazing husband took it upon himself to give his mom a call and have the talk right then, and it went surprisingly well. Apparently, she didn't even argue, not once. She completely understood why we wouldn't go based on the dress incident alone, and said she had no idea why Katie would do such a thing. When my husband told her about Jordan being rude and getting cut off at the wedding, she was mortified and apologized profusely. She even acknowledged that something like that was exactly why we didn't want to invite them in the first place, and she was so sorry. Mother-in-law is not a subtle person. She's basically a combo of Kitty from That 70s Show and Miss Weasley from Harry Potter. That is a wild combo, by the way.
That's loud.
They're similar.
That is a loud.
No, I just mean that's like a...
Kitty from
Kitty
that's
and Miss
just like a
Weasley
big-
would be
I love her.
That's a
but
big combo.
They would destroy the world.
I think I would love.
No, and I would love to watch it.
Yeah, but not gonna lie, that's a very loud combination.
Oh, yeah.
So, if she didn't agree with us or understand our point of view, she would let us know and probably call me directly. But she didn't, so I truly believe if she blames anyone, she does not fault us for this decision. As some people suggested, husband and I will be using the money we would have spent on going to the wedding on a trip to visit his chosen brother, his best man and college roommate, in Toronto during that weekend.
So much more fun than visiting the bigots.
Yes. Bigot wedding in Bahamas or brother in
Bestie
Toronto.
in Toronto.
There we go. And yes, we will post all the pictures of us having the best time. While I'm not going to be living out my petty dreams in the Bahamas in a cream dress, I'll still be listening to Lovely Slaughter's Petty AF, because what a bop, knowing I didn't piss off my future in-laws before I was even a part of the family. Relevant comments, OP responds to her mother-in-law taking the news very well that she and her husband are not going to the wedding. I was so worried about telling mother-in-law I totally forgot about the chaos that will be unleashed when the guests of dishonor find out. Honestly, knowing I'll be able to share it with all of you makes it less daunting. I truly got so lucky with my in-laws and husband. And by the way, you are truly lucky that you can listen to full episodes with stories like this on iHeartRadio and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Just search OK Storytime.
Do it.
And you can find all the stories you could ever listen to your heart's content.
True.
Okay, and we do have a little bit more story here.
Let's dive right in.
Go ahead and just finish.
Let's finish her off.
I know for a fact that bad people attract bad people, and a big party of bad people, there's some major drama bound to happen. If you get to know any drama that happens in Jordan's wedding, please write about that. OP says, solid point. And that was one of the reasons we didn't want to go, but I didn't even think of the stories we'd have. Thankfully, mother-in-law has a couple sisters that love to gossip, so if anything does go down, I will definitely share. And commenter 2 says, you're probably the favorite daughter-in-law. It's okay. I am too in my family, and it's great. OP says, I think so too, LOL, and honestly, that's probably going to be really bothersome to Katie because she's always needed to be the center of attention. Maybe not right away, but it definitely will in the long run. Commenter 3 says, why didn't mother-in-law cut him off like she said she would if he did those things? Why isn't she at least not going to the wedding? She should at least demand they apologize to both of you regardless of whether or not you go. She needs to start setting some boundaries with him or she will eventually lose Dan and get stuck with just Jordan, who will drag them down to his level, and that's true. OP said, we knew she was never going to disown him no matter what. It's been implied to me in the past that he may be violent, which wouldn't surprise me in the least, so that probably has something to do with it, and the fact that they will likely give me grandkids right away, but for sure, if she doesn't set the boundary now, at this point, they're only going to be hurting her going forward. And honestly, that is the end of that story.